Hi, everybody, and welcome to the planning board meeting of August 14th, 2019. We're in the third floor meeting room of Memorial Town Hall. We'll start off with the minutes, if anybody would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the draft minutes for June 26, 2019, and July 10th, 2019 planning board meetings.
Motion's been made to approve the meeting minutes of June 26th and July 10th,
I second.
seconded by Joanne. Any comments? All look flawless. Everything look good, Ted?
Yep, they were good.
Great. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
That's 5 yeas, no nays. Motion carries. Minutes of June 26th and July 10th are approved. John, I know you're far away there, but what happened to the minutes of June, what was it? What was the meeting before June 26th? Did we ever approve those minutes?
12th? Yeah, we did.
We did?
I'll check them. All right, I'll check.
I think,
I thought that a revision had to be made,
yeah, I thought a revision had to be made.
which I
so-
think was in this packet.
No, I think
No.
it was pointed out that we were going to look at them again.
Oh, was that, I knew I saw it somewhere in here.
In the minutes of June 26th, probably,
Alright.
I think. So maybe next, at our next meeting, we could look into that. And that sounds good. And move on to vouchers.
We didn't do July 10th.
Pardon me?
Did you just,
We did June 26th and July 10th.
oh, both of them?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did them both.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
That was what you voted for, right?
Right. Okay.
Great. Moving on to the vouchers, can I have a motion for, why don't we have a motion for all of the vouchers 1 through 9?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the vouchers 1 through 9 on today's agenda.
A second?
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the vouchers 1 through 9 on the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, the Palmer Lane bond reduction is a big number, and I was thinking maybe we ought to carve that out. And
Well, actually, you know what? Forgive me, I'm looking at the agenda, and I thought I did carve it out. There seems to be a discrepancy between.
Yeah, there was an error in the agenda. Number 6
we're missing-
was duplicated, and
missing.
6 and 8 are the same, and it was corrected in the packet.
Ah, okay. So 6 and 8 are additional. Want to
Right.
withdraw that motion?
I will withdraw that motion.
Motion's withdrawn. Want to just go through these one at a time? How about
How about if
this?
how about if I just read them out and we'll do them all together, 1 through 8?
Hold off the reduction?
Right. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve voucher for Staples office supplies for $50.85, and Schwab Incorporated nameplate for $16.75. I also move to approve the vouchers from H.L. Graham Associates for the technical review of 68 Tenny Street for $1,860, technical review of 198 East Main Street for $340, and technical review for 51 East Main Street for $3,520. In addition to the BSC Group for final review of the as-built plans for
192?
192?
Yeah, 192.
No, and $192. As-built plans for what project? I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
That's Palmer. That's Palmer.
Palmer Lane, okay.
Which I'd like to have an explanation on that.
Okay, well, let's wait till we
Okay,
finish the motion.
Additionally, to Merit and Company, annual HP plotter service contract, $1,096.99, and the legal ad for North of Boston for $567.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Joanne. John, I don't think we need Netflix. I don't think we do need an explanation.
be cool.
Yeah, well, probably something good on it. Tilly, did you say that you wanted an explanation for which one the
Number 6.
Road, that's like a couple of years old. How come?
Actually, I'm sorry.
BSC
Five.
group, final review of the plans. Okay, let's pull this out and look at it. Let's take a peek. Before we, John, can you maybe, give us some clarification on that one?
7 we're doing.
On which one is it?
Well, it's number 6, which is also number 8 on the agenda. They're both the same.
But number
It's a
6 on the
replication.
packet.
That Stone Row as built. For
Oh,
$192.
$192, okay.
Yeah, that was some final review that needed to be done by Dave Barger, and he finally clarified everything that was necessary to close it out.
2 years old,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's plantings though, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it have to be 2 growing seasons?
No,
How do you know
Isn't
it's
it
planting
planting?
stuff? There's nothing on here. How did you determine that?
What Dave said, as far as built plan, Stone Row extension, Massachusetts, planned by LeBlanc.
Conservation bounds? No, that's the location of it. 2013, it's more than 2 years. My God.
No, this is,
6 years, how's that sound?
14 Stone Row.
it was left dangling for a long time.
A long dangle.
I
You
finally.
found it behind the cabinet?
and he-
Oh, in the
Finally
very,
got-
in the very first page, it
Very
says,
first
meeting
page.
with Tim Rue
Yeah.
on site,
Yep.
February 11, 2019, to
Yep.
review the site and to confirm the viability of the plantings and
follow-up.
follow-up.
That's what I thought.
So an
Yeah.
hour and a half, okay.
Yeah, I knew I read it somewhere. And I think what
So that's something
John
you can't do
did
right away anyway.
was he gave us, the remainder.
Oh, so you got all the backup, because I was wondering, did I pick
That's-
up your,
Yeah, I think that's what.
We all have it.
oh, everybody's got copies like
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
BSC group.
You keep them busy, aren't you?
Why do you have originals?
Who knows?
Why is that an
I
original?
got everything, I told you.
Yeah.
Sign here?
Yeah, that's from the pile that was right
This is
there.
only 67,
Did
60.
you pull out already?
The only thing I pulled out was vouchers.
Yeah.
Which I will start.
I didn't go in there, this was in
No,
my
this was in your packet.
You want it?
Let me see.
67?
67, 60, I got, I
No,
think I have the backup
No,
for
this
the
is-
warrant.
That's nothing that's on here.
no, this is dated for 8/14.
Here, I
but
got this one, the invoices itself is in here.
In your packet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, this is these two
Schwab.
pieces.
Oh, okay, this is the Staples one.
Yeah.
This is the Staples one. Staples and Schwab. We have that.
Here we go.
I,
We
I've
got
got,
another one.
Well, 1 through all the rest, are there any questions on anything else?
Another one.
I do have,
This should have been in your packet
Yeah.
too. It ended up in Tilly's packet.
I'm gonna
there's
give
another
you
one.
everything here,
Yeah.
back, you're gonna get it back. Alrighty. Good grief,
Well, this was all together.
there you go.
Those are your originals, Joe.
back
Those stamps
every
are-
other week. So we're
Your
getting
original
lost.
stamps. Okay, so, just to review, the Staples bill, the Schwab bill, 3 Larry Graham Associate bills, the BSC group, the HP Plotter Service, and the North of Boston legal ad. That's what we're talking about here. Anybody have any more questions about those?
I did have a question about Larry's bill. And
On
it-
which one? There were
Well,
3.
it has to do with what's in the packet. There's like a billing history that goes back to the age of the dinosaurs.
Munis
Okay.
you got, that's what I just gave him. That's the printout from the accountant,
This.
yeah.
And I'm just wondering, why is this in the packet?
No, that packet, I believe that has to do with Palmer Lane reduction.
Isn't it all?
Yes, that has to do with Palmer Lane reduction.
Okay, all right.
Tom didn't have anything to do, so he.
All right,
played with the
very good,
words of
very
that day.
Okay.
So what do you want to carve out?
So we're looking at Staples,
Staples and Schwab.
the 3 Graham Associates, the BSC Group, Merritt and Company, the Plotter Service contract, and the North of Boston legal ad, right? Are we all clear on what we're voting on?
Yep.
Merit,
We're
The only
set.
one we're not voting on right now is the Palmer Lane
The
one.
only one listed there that we're not voting on is the Palmer.
okay,
Lane.
is there,
Are we good with that?
is there another original for Larry?
'Cause you only have
Because I
two
think
there?
that what happened was that my packet, or the voucher packet, right, was copied. Right? And it's okay, I don't think there'd be any problem about signing that, but,
Here it is, right here.
Okay.
all right. Excellent.
This is why you're the clerk.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all organized.
Yeah.
that's what they've
Good
done.
man, good man.
Mercy.
Okay, let's,
You got your glasses
now that
on?
we know which ones we're voting on,
Yep.
should we approve them? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed?
No.
Ayes have it.
Okay.
Those vouchers passed unanimously. And we can begin signing them at our leisure. Does anyone want to bring up the bond reduction, or we want to hold off on that?
You can hold off on that, I think.
Hold off on that one till later on? We'll make a note of that.
That was already voted on at the, at a previous meeting.
I think it's a
Okay.
voucher
So
issue,
it's just a-
so
It's
it's
just a
it's the way
voucher,
the voucher was
But
filled
the
out.
reduction was already voted
Yeah.
on.
Okay,
That
so we
was
don't
done.
have to do that, so let's do it.
Well,
No?
let's not, let's get away from vouchers, let's get to, let's go to correspondence. Does anyone want to make a motion that the correspondence, to consider the correspondence as read?
I make a motion to consider all the correspondence as read, 1 through 7.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to consider the correspondence as read. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Correspondence
Hold
is
it to me, I'll
duly
take-
noted.
oh, okay.
And,
I don't wanna get
okay, now I lost my agenda.
that stuff again.
Thank you. Okay, here we go.
That's why they call
So,
me the clerk,
That's why you are the clerk, sir.
clerk man.
You are the clerk. Okay, so tonight we have 4 public hearings and an A&R plan. Just so I can try to do this as efficiently as possible. Who's here for, just raise your hand, are you here, who's here for 196 West Main Street? Okay, who's here for 5565 Central? Okay, 68 Tenny? Okay, and 554 North?
They got the word.
68 Tenny. 68 Tenny, why don't you come on up?
Did I put the Palmer Lane on the 0? Probably should have
Did you
done
lose that or throw it away?
that. Did you find your agenda yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, gentlemen, if you
That's
state your
now.
name
Yeah.
for the record, I'd really appreciate it, thank you.
Tony Capichetti with Hayes Engineering, the engineer for the project, 603 Main Street, 603 Salem Street, Wakefield, Massachusetts.
Troy Brosnan with Tink. Eric Rogers with Tink as well, the tenants.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm looking for 68 Tenny right now as we speak. I wanted my packet, because I have some notes. That works out well. John, you wanna get us up to speed on this?
Yes. Per the planning board's action at the June 26th meeting, the board asked me to draft a decision, a certified or a certificate of approval, which was included in the board's staff report packet, together with Hayes Engineering's response letter. It's dated August 1, 2019, and that's a response letter in accordance with Larry Graham's peer review. So the remaining items that were cited in the response letter from the applicant, all of the pertinent issues are now incorporated into the decision of approval for the board's consideration tonight. So that's a draft decision. If anybody had a chance to really look through it, and if you have any amendments that you need or want to discuss concerning it, now's the time. Otherwise, I spent about 2 days drafting this decision. You know, one day was a total redraft because we got the revised plans in. So everything, I've gone over everything to make sure that the dates match up, the pages match up, and, you know, everything's copacetic to what the board has reviewed. And what Larry Graham has critiqued, and the applicant was nice enough to actually go through everything with a fine tooth comb themselves. And I believe they're in full agreement with the decision language. Is that correct?
We had one minor request for revision. The mailing address for Marston Tenney LLC is now 70 Tenney Road,
70 Tenney Road.
or Tenney Street.
Okay, so you won't be getting any mail at 68 Tenney.
No, the mail's listed at the owner's house in Topsfield, and he actually, Marston Tenney now receives their mail through 70 Tenney Road. It's-
At the actual site location.
Yes, that's the, it's a minor change, that's the only concern we had. And then just,
Make that change.
Oh, yeah, I can make that change, yeah,
yeah, that's,
tonight before we leave, for sure.
I had a change, and I thought we had talked about it. This application should be in the name of the business people, not the Realtor. Excuse me.
Okay, so, do you have a copy of it?
Not in front of me.
mine's enough. I'll get it here.
So it's Marston Tenney Realty
This is the
LLC.
landlord, yep.
He's-
And then, but the application of Cultivana LLC, that's
So,
us.
do we want to reference that as Cultivana?
No, you wanna give the application, the permit to their business, not to the Realtor.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Rather than where it says reference at the beginning of the, or at the top of the certificate of approval, Marston Tenney Realty would be changed to Cultivana.
That's right.
Okay. Is everybody in agreement with that? So we'll
Yeah.
make these changes now, and if we're all in agreement, we can proceed with, I'll
Yeah.
make the changes during break and we can bring it up. Okay.
So, and then you would also, yeah, number 12, you would correct that one too.
Is that under
It's the
special
same.
conditions, or?
It's the same,
number 12.
issue,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Under special conditions, number 12,
yeah.
Where is she?
page 4?
Permit should be limited to the current permit holder.
Yeah. The permit holder is you folks, not your Realtor. You hold the permit, not your
Yeah,
Realtor.
yeah, sorry, we thought we had made those changes when we were collaborating with John, we missed that one.
Right. Yeah.
Is there a reason why the host agreement date on page 9 is omitted?
Where you- oh,
On page 9, the very end.
Host agreement is executed on the blank day of
Between the
something,
applicant and
2019.
executed on the.
That's already been done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was done early December, late November of last year. You can get the exact
Sometime
Well,
date.
should have the date in there, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add
Put a
that.
date in there.
Do you have that date?
I can get it right now. We can look that up, yeah.
Check it out.
A date that will live in infamy.
Then on that same page, the prepared for, I'm sorry, the plan was prepared for Marston Tenney, because they, everyone's paying the bills, so that's correct.
What? Excuse me, can you, I didn't hear you.
The prepared for on 9 of 10, it does reference Marston Tenney Realty, but that's
Is that a-
correct for the plan, there was a
Because
reference
it's
on.
talking about
Yes,
a
yeah,
plan.
that's- Yeah, no, it's,
It's not about the permit,
Not about the permit.
about
yeah.
the plan.
yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. I'm glad you put in that site,
3rd of December.
clean that site, because I was driving by Tenney Street and, the grass is getting high.
That was
And
December
weeds.
3rd, December 3rd, by the way.
December
For
3rd.
the HCA was December 3rd, 2018.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then prepared for, that's on page 8. Prepared for Marston Tenney Realty.
But that-
Leave that alone.
That's fine, that's how it's referenced on the plan as well, so.
So that would just be changed on page 1,
Yeah.
cool.
and on page
And on
4.
page- yeah.
Well, condition 12. All right.
One of the things that we did not ever really do, Larry Graham had pointed out a couple of waivers that needed to be granted, and we never voted for them. They're granted, they're kind of special because, under our marijuana bylaw, what we're supposed to be doing is, the applicant is supposed to have sent us certain bits of information about the permit that they've been granted from the state. But because they have not yet applied, we need to waive those. And, that's, here.
But can we request that they be provided once they have been obtained by the state?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Oh, they
included in the
definitely
tournament
will.
special
Yeah,
conditions,
they
that
are.
within 5 days, we have to
Yeah.
provide you with all the documentation.
But this is actually, it's kind of ministerial, this is one of those things that, to apply, they needed to get
Gotcha.
this stuff. So, it's waivers to section 165-162D1, 4, 5, 6, and 9, because those documents don't yet exist. So, if anybody would like to make a motion to waive that, Bob?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the special permit include a waiver to section 165-162D1, specifically to provide, in delaying the receipt of its registration from the Cannabis Control Commission.
Okay, you know what, before we suffer through this, right?
Thank you
can I-
so
can I-
much.
Can I explain something? Okay, so here we have, if you go to page 6, waivers granted,
Right.
okay, it reads right now, see item number 8 above, findings relative to the applicant providing Cannabis Control Commission registration and licensure provisions in accordance with section 165.
4, 5, 6, and 9.
Yeah, okay, so you go to, this item number 8 that I referred to. in-
That was what I
in
was looking
findings.
for there.
Yeah,
That says there'll be an annual written communication.
no, number 8, under findings, third paragraph, page 3,
of the findings.
yeah,
Adequate, number 8. Marijuana establishment covered under the special permit shall provide the town, in a manner determined by the town, proof of provisional licensure and final licensure from the Cannabis Control Commission within 5 business days of receipt.
and issuance of said licenses, and, is a condition of this approval.
Okay.
So what Larry was referring to in his peer review, and as it's stated in the waiver requests, that concern with all of those sections needing to be waived, what I'm saying is, his concerns, waivers granted, are addressed in the findings, number 8.
Okay.
That this is a condition of approval, they have to prove the licenses in the licensures in the, what did I say? Final licensure and provisional licensure from the Cannabis Commission to the town.
I thought what Larry was saying when he was saying that these needed to be waived was, these are actually part of the submission requirements, and they fall under the submission requirements. And I thought it would be appropriate for the board to waive the submission requirement because, well, you can't supply that. It's very
Doesn't
simple.
exist yet.
Yeah, it doesn't exist, so you
A
can't
lot of
supply it.
these
So
things in the process are chicken or egg, chicken or egg, chicken or egg, and you gotta find one without the other.
Well, you're getting smart, aren't you? You just started.
John, if you think that's a good workaround?
Yeah, no, I think
if you
it's a
that's
good-
an adequate workaround?
Yeah,
and
because
we
it's-
don't need any of
they
this?
can't-
I was
they-
just going by Larry Graham's
Yeah, they can't
review.
move forward. I know what Larry's worried about, but that section here, 8, is a finding of the board that, they can't move forward with this unless they get all the licenses from the state, and that we are in receipt as a town within 5 business days of them receiving it, so.
And I think that's
Not
pretty
6
clear.
now,
The-
guys.
You'll get it day one.
You'll get it day one.
Hour one. I would recommend, though, on page 6, under waivers granted, instead of saying seeing item number 8 above, see finding, substitute the word finding for item, because I was in the same boat as Harry, I wasn't
Yeah,
sure which one.
you think to go to the next thing first and immediately above. Yeah, findings, number 8. I agree. That's a good idea, John. Just to clarify that.
Although it does say above findings, but
Right.
if perhaps,
Yeah.
if perhaps it was just moved in place of item,
So,
but I'm good.
you're good as it's worded, or do you want it changed?
It would be a little bit clearer if it was see findings, item number 8.
Okay,
I think it would be clearer. Because
Above,
I think,
relative to
I
the
think Bob did the same thing I did. He went
Yes.
immediately behind found number 8, and it deals with chief of police, so
yeah.
it's a little confusing. Try to make them as easily understandable as they can be.
Did you put the sign on the plan? I couldn't remember that.
It's,
Was there any plan for a sign?
No.
No.
no, there was no
No
plan for
signs.
a
No
sign.
signs.
Good.
We agreed
No
to that in
signs.
the
We wanna
HCA.
blend, we don't want people to know where we are and what we're doing.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. So no signs.
There's no information of use to the general community.
They don't need to
Yeah,
know.
they don't need to know.
The major revisions to the
We're
plans.
we're a completely locked door facility. You can't get in without being on video and buzzed in, and then there's a limited access area that they can.
It's not like it's a
So,
dispensary.
No.
Yeah, no,
This is a-
not at all.
Yeah,
It's
this is a private.
very locked down.
The biggest revision to the plans was the adding of the multiple rows of evergreens.
Very nice,
Yeah.
requested.
nicely done,
The rest was all detailing.
very nicely done. The only thing I didn't like was the pines in the list. We could eliminate the pines, but I'm not gonna hold you to it. Try to get away from the pines. We got enough of them. Anyway,
Pine needles everywhere.
really, they're just thin, they're thin. They don't provide any kind of real buffering. You know, that buffering, it's not there because they're so thin. You know, you had 2 pines on the list. But, at any rate, what's your pleasure, folks?
I
Is
think this
everybody
is a
happy?
good job. Jen did a great job compiling all this. It's not simple.
Thank you, John.
It wasn't.
That's
That's when I was busy.
Back in the
Sounds
olden
like I need
days.
to accept the motion. I'll hear a motion now to sign the decision as presented with the corrections that were made this evening.
Good.
Somebody want to make that motion?
Make them,
I move to reopen this meeting and at the same time close the public hearing and to endorse the certificate of approval.
Okay. So you're making a motion to close the public hearing, which we can certainly do. Is there a second to close the hearing?
Second.
Second. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say
Aye.
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 Aye. Hearing's hereby closed unanimously. And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
Harry.
now would the board like to act on on this permit?
I make a motion to approve the special permit for 68 Tenny Street.
And the decision as amended this evening?
As amended with the revisions that we requested tonight.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do I need to repeat it, guys?
Nor?
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0 unanimously.
good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all your time.
Thank you, thank you for a very nice project, and guys, good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Good
it.
luck for
Yeah.
the first.
Hope you make $1 million. A couple million, million's really nothing.
Million doesn't go far.
Just existing is
Hope
fine
you
with
make
me.
many, many millions of dollars.
Lots of taxes.
All the tax money will help.
The engineering goes to the engineer.
Thank you. Do you need us for anything?
Nope.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Not for the time
Good
being.
Good luck.
We'll see you soon.
Great. Okay, so,
All right.
I'm gonna mark up your agenda. How's that one? And mark it, is that mine? That's my agenda. That's my agenda. I have my notes on them. I know it's mine. There we go. Now we got it. And you checked off 6810 for me. Thank you very much.
You're very well.
Okay, at this point, maybe what we wanna do is, to go to, what do we go to, 196 West Main Street? Map 6B, Lot 57, 2-lot court definitive subdivision special permit? Hey, is that you?
Yeah.
State your name for the record, please, sir.
My name is James Ogden for 196 West Main Street in Georgetown.
John, would you like to bring us up to speed on this?
Yes, 196, they're asking for an extension. This was continued date specific from the last meeting tonight. No one is here this evening because the word got out over the last week that they were asking for a continuance. So we would now have to continue date specific if the board so chooses to do this evening. And I would suggest September 25th.
Are there any abutters for 196 West Main Street?
Oh,
It sounds that well, maybe we should make a motion to reopen the continuation of 196 West Main
Mr.
Street.
Chairman, I move to reopen the concurrent public hearing on the special permit and planning subdivision applications calling for the construction of two-lot court located at 196 West Main Street.
Is there a second?
I second.
Ooh, that was a tough one. I don't know if I'm gonna give that one to Julie. Tilly,
You can have it, Tilly.
You can give this to Tilly. So motion is made by Bob Watts, seconded by Tilly Evangelista to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Public hearing's open. Jay, I'll give you the first opportunity to speak because you're the presenter, so
Yes, I am here
basically asking
to
for an extension.
request a continuance or extension to the next available meeting.
Okay, and John, how are we looking for a decision date, a Form H? Are we all right with the Form H's?
yeah, we're all right with this one.
Okay, we're extended out to
Yeah.
the next quarter.
Yeah.
At this point, since there are,
September 30th, is that the extension?
we extend September,
30th, is that the
that's
date?
usually the end of the quarter.
So we're gonna be extending this again, dare say, to the end of the year.
Yeah, we have until October 5th to make a decision on this. So, we could put it on for the September.
Unusual extension, huh?
What's that?
That's an unusual extension date for the Form H, October.
No,
no,
that's the
no.
extension.
That's just from the date they submitted it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, filed with the town clerk on May 23rd.
right.
Yeah, and you have 135 days to,
And time runs out on
Yeah.
the 5th.
I thought that was what the extension was all about, a mutually agreed extension.
Well, in
I
the,
think this is just arithmetic, it's adding 135 days to that May date
Okay.
and pushing it out to October. And what we have to do
We
is
have
we
it
have to
September
push it
30th.
out.
Okay.
We have to push it out. to the end of the year.
I mean, we're really going pretty close into the September date already relative to getting revised plans in, getting Larry's input.
Sure, sure.
So,
Absolutely.
what are you thinking, realistically?
My thought was that we would be able to have plans to him early next week. Not sure what his turnaround time is, as far as,
I don't either, and nobody does. He gets it here when he does, and I'm being realistic. You know, you don't want to get them the night of the meeting.
No, you can't, absolutely not.
That will not work.
No.
Before we resolve to continue, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to say anything, or any public comment here? I see you here, I'm just giving you the opportunity to speak. It's a public hearing, you have every right in the world, sir. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Richard Aberman, 199 West Main Street, Georgetown. I'm not sure what the issue is in terms of the status of the applicant. I'm here mostly because I'm directly across the street from the proposed project. And I'm mostly concerned about the water flow that comes off the road, and I'm downhill from that piece of property. Not sure how much water has been studied on the drainage issue on that property, but I would encourage you all to take a really good look at that. Right now, our property doesn't have any water in the basement. 100-year storm might get a little bit of moisture, but no standing water. I'm concerned about the amount of runoff from that property. There's a lot of soil right now to absorb, and diffuse the runoff. Without that, I'm not sure what's gonna happen. So that's, for us, that's the main issue. I'd encourage you all to take a very close look at that. I think that's pretty much the only thing I wanted to really bring up here tonight.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I couldn't hear, I'm getting older, so my hearing is not what it used to be.
I understand.
So I'm not
I
sure
understand.
what the,
We were discussing, the amount of time we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And potentially when we will be continuing this
So
next meeting too.
so it's
And
gonna
don't
be-
worry, when we take that vote, we'll say it very loudly.
please, thank you, I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience for that? I'm not seeing anybody, so.
So just to be
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Nancy Aberman, also 199 West Main Street.
She'll augment what I should have said.
No, I, actually, it's another issue, and that is just the issue of traffic. And having another road feeding into that street. It's just something that we're very concerned about, and we know that you'll take that into consideration when you make your decision. Thanks.
It's a good issue.
So we noted, water and
Traffic.
traffic concerns. Duly noted. And anybody else? I don't see anybody else that is for that.
Mr. Chairman, are we gonna do a sidewalk on this parcel?
We certainly can. As soon as someone makes a motion, I'll hear it. If you'd like to make a motion for it, Tilly, but by all means, I'll hear it.
Okay, I make a motion to have a sidewalk on the property.
Did you have any specific date in mind, or?
Well, let's hopefully before the next hearing that he's gonna be attending.
Looks like we might be doing our next continuation sometime in the later part of September.
Yeah, now, just to make absolutely clear,
Okay.
we do have till October 25th to take final action.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking, we're gonna be better off dealing with this time-wise and getting Larry's final review, your revised plans done for the September 25th meeting.
September 25th meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would recommend.
Okay, so we'll hold that. As far as,
I think it's
you're
important
concerned,
that we go to the
that we actually
sidewalk.
see this,
Yeah.
see this site
Before the
Institute.
25th meeting.
Right.
before the
Yeah,
25th
so
meeting? That what we have, yeah.
why don't we have that? It is getting, it'll be darker soon, but it won't be that dark. We could conduct a site walk, say September 11th, 6 PM, prior to the meeting. Does that sound plausible?
Yeah, can you make sure you send a
Yeah.
reminder?
Yep. Site walk?
At 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Does that work with you, Jay?
So far?
All right.
So, but, okay.
So that'll be
And
9/11.
then 2 weeks later, we'll have the meeting.
Yeah, yep. So 9/11, 6 PM. On site.
Somebody wanna make that motion?
I make a motion that we will have a site plan walk on the night of September 11th at 6 o'clock for the 196 West Main Street subdivision special permit.
I'll second that.
Motion is made, September 11th, site walk at, what time was that?
Six.
6 PM?
6 PM.
Okay, is that gonna give us enough time?
Yes.
Not a very big site.
Where's the parking there for, I mean, we go in there's a lot of cars. How do you,
I think it's in that guy's
that's one of
yard.
the reasons.
Joking, sir, just joking.
How about
You joke.
taxi?
You can pull in the driveway there and park immediately off to the right of the driveway. You probably fit 5 or 6 cars there.
I have driven by there so many times.
Yeah.
And I am petrified of making, either way, getting in that driveway. Isn't there another way?
Could park at the former Tin Lizzie's and take a little
Tin Lizzie's to
stroll
walk?
down It's
Well,
3 doors down.
Yeah, that, I might just park there and as well.
in Tin Lizzie's? Yeah. It's a tough area.
Well, all in favor of having, was there a second for that?
Yes.
Seconded by Bruce. All in favor of having a site walk for 196 West Main Street on September 11th at 6 PM, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Now with the continuation, how about a motion to continue this to September, John, you said the 25th, was that the date?
Yes, September 25th. Yep.
Motion continued,
I make a motion to continue this subdivision special permit for 196 West Main Street until the September 25th meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. See you September 25th. Good, John?
Good, yep.
Okay, so that was continued to September 25th. Make a quick note of that right here. Okay. And next on the agenda would be 554 North Street, map 18, lot 39, special permit definitive subdivision application for 3 lots. 2 lots fronting on proposed 2-lot court, 554 North. Good evening. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing, the continuation of the public hearing for 554 North Street?
I move to motion to continue the public hearing for 554 North Street.
Motion's been made. Is there a second to open the hearing?
Second.
Motion is made by Bruce, seconded by Joanne. All, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Hearing's open. Could you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Sure, Rich Williams with Williams and Spragus, representing the applicant. We're just here to request a continuance. We're making attempts to work with the neighbors and trying to satisfy some of their concerns. And we're in the midst of that process, so
Are you redoing the plans, Rich?
it depends on how the conversations go with the abutters.
The only thing that, it doesn't seem as though there's anybody in the audience tonight. So, there's no public input for it. I just, is there anything anybody wanted to bring up?
Yeah, we just need to extend Form H, which has been executed today by the applicant for
Okay.
December 31st.
Do you have that in front of you? I doubt very much it would be there. Go to the
Let's
hand.
see, right here.
Here we go. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So, if you'd like to make that motion to, yeah, if you'd like to make that motion, well,
Yeah, I move to accept the applicant's request to extend the board's review and time for action on this application via the executed Form H, which provides for said review action for up to and including 31 December 2019.
motion made by Bob Watts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joanne Lout. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Good with that, John?
Yep.
Great. There was one thing that, it was mentioned by one of the folks that was in the audience. Shame on me, I don't remember the name. They asked about natural heritage and endangered species for this parcel. And, I thought it was mentioned that there was none, but, when I pulled it up on my map, it seems there is a layer. It is there.
What's the
And,
layer?
It's the natural heritage endangered species, estimated habitats of rare wildlife. And, it shows pretty clearly, I can hand that out. I think you'll see it's not in the very front where the existing house is or any of the existing frontage on North Street, but it certainly does appear to be everywhere else in the parcel.
So I guess this
So,
is it.
when you redo the plans, we need to have that shown on the plans.
Yeah, I'll look at it, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think,
I think we have a letter from them, but,
oh, I thought you said it wasn't on, so, it wasn't in the area.
You have-
Whatever, we'll figure it all out.
You have a letter from them, meaning that you had to connect to them. You had to send them something or ask them for something, because they don't automatically send it.
I'll answer your question.
If you could show the
Great.
line on the plan, basically, is what's.
Right, I'm
required
just
of
seeing
this.
this
Absolutely.
comment for the first time
And,
tonight, so.
you guys can
Um,
hand that to them if you make it easy for them. Let's see. I think that's a better one. That's a
Okay.
little more detailed for the,
You give that to him too.
and I just pulled that on, what's called My Map, the town's, mapping program. It's a public
Right,
mapping
yeah.
program. Is there anything else anybody knows of that, they would like to mention? Any concerns? Really no new plans to look at, so it's difficult to make comments, right?
It would be a heck of a sight to walk over to, until at least all the leaves are off the trees and
John, I
everything.
just wanna give that to you, just so we don't
Yep.
misplace.
Mhm.
Or, do you want it in here?
Yeah, you can put it right
Would
there.
that be better in there?
Thank you. Yeah, one of those pockets there.
safe. Yeah, nice scribe. If that's it, well, I'll accept a motion to, continue to, John, what do you recommend? The
25.
the
September.
25th, again, the 25th?
Yep.
Okay, make a motion? Somebody like to make a motion?
Make a motion for continuance for the 554 North Street special permit until the September 25th meeting.
Is there a motion been made by Joanne? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bruce. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Hearing is continued the 25th September.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Stuff.
And that gets out to.
The plaza.
The plaza. And now, last but not least, is the, well, we can either do CVS or we can do the, well, flip a coin, guys. Lizard spot?
Odds are even.
Depends what he has.
Yeah, it's an A&R, but, it's probably, yeah, come on. It's probably, I think he's gonna have to educate us a little bit, so.
Easel for better viewing if you use it.
I don't know where the best camera for the easel is.
Yeah, that's tough.
There's cameras all over the room.
Right, it just, in
Sometimes
case
you-
I wanna point to something,
Okay.
I
Does-
brought drawings that are
does
in your packet.
John have those plans? Do you have those?
Special.
Oh, geez, he did it again. Okay, never
Well-
mind, never mind.
You should have,
What a
you
pain in
should.
the butt that is.
You guys are really prepared to deal with this by easel, right? Anyway?
Yeah, we could.
We can.
Easily. You have
I
everything.
think everyone should have the,
Yeah, everybody has the
packets,
plans,
right?
right? We can tinker with this if you guys want to and see if I can get it back working again.
Four strikes against him.
Always have to have paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't get rid of the paper, right? It's just a shame because some of those renderings that we had electronically are really,
That was.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Very
I'll
nice.
play with this.
very, very nice.
If we can get it.
That would be nice for the viewing audience.
They were selling.
The whole- the
How do you
whole-
implement this?
I did,
Intense.
I got the renderings on for it too.
Scissors one.
Lizard spot.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Perfect, yeah.
really? Okay. And I think that's, is that probably four? Or is that the landscape plan?
This is, page 3, which is more the civil plan, but there, and we have, landscape plan behind it.
Well, gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind your names for the record, you know the drill.
Ryan Falk from Eric O'Connell, attorney for the applicant.
Mark Yanowitz, with the firm J.D. LaGrasse and Associates, the architect for the applicant.
Tell us what you've done here, folks.
Sure.
You've done a lot of work, and unless John has something urgent that you want to bring up, John.
No, I just,
I'll open it
as I
right for them.
stated in the staff report, they complied with everything we highlighted at the last public hearing on this. And I think we're gonna have a real good presentation this evening addressing each one of those issues.
So let's you couldn't get a better segue than that, could you?
I'll take it, thank you. So everyone should have, hopefully, the letter I sent dated August 6th.
Ooh, it looks like
Sort
this,
of-
sir.
That's the one.
think it looks like this.
Where I listed out the issues in no particular order that were raised at the first session of the public hearing, and how we address those issues, or what changes are shown on the plan in response to comments and concerns. So I'm happy to walk through that, and I'll probably walk through it and then turn to Mark to point out things. In terms of parking spaces, there was a request to put the resident-only parking and reserve it in the back of the building, which we did. And we're gonna have a reserved area for customer-only parking in the front of the building. Landscaping, we made some changes to our plans. I think we enhanced the landscaping quite a bit. Will make for a much improved aesthetic look to the site. And just to back up, we met with Mr. Cashel a few weeks ago to go over these issues and to brainstorm with him on some ideas. And one of the ideas from that meeting was to put a low retaining wall in front of the larger retaining wall, which we think will help provide some definition to the site, give a better staging ground for some ivy to grow up over that wall to make it really pop as a green vegetated wall rather than just the stone wall that would otherwise be there. Some improvements in terms of chain link fencing towards the top of that wall in what will be a yard area for residents. We also are gonna have sort of a seating area towards the rear of the site, not far from the resident rear entrance by the elevator. So that's relatively close to where people will park. In addition, segueing there, we enhanced the pedestrian access around the site. So there's essentially, from that far back yard area, there is a path that will take you to the rear entrance by the elevator, all the way around the building, continuing around the building towards some of the parking spaces in the front, and then on to a new concrete walkway that will get you to the sidewalk right opposite the crosswalk.
I saw that, and
Yeah.
that
That's good.
completely eliminated a lot of concerns I had for just residents walking, people walking in, and,
Kids,
yeah.
Pets, yeah.
That, nice job, by the way, very nice job, very creative.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't
mentioned-
think you can take credit for that, I think.
I take no credit.
I think you-
I just wrote it down what Mark did, so. Other work by Mark, the rear entrance and loading area, we made some changes, and I think you've got a rendering in your packet as to how that's going to look. You know, we've got some constraints in terms of, there is a loading dock there, loading area for CVS. But I think we made some good improvements, making it much more of a residential focus, especially as you get closer to the entranceway. Blocked off that sort of interior alley that gets you into CVS, towards the rear.
So that's where the actual entrance is, and it's being shown now with a bit of an awning or a canopy there. Am I seeing that correctly?
Right
Yes,
there,
the
yeah.
the awning was there previous, and, but what we did was kind of clarify or define the pedestrian walkway, both to the rear. We also had created, you know, an accessible entrance in our last application all the way around the building. So if an accessible visitor was parking out front, they could still come around. Another change that happened here was to bring in more landscaping. And this was a newly created island to kind of warm up the rear,
To make it look more residential.
more residential as well. And we,
Oh, very nice.
at
very
the,
nice,
at the end of this walkway, against the back lawn area, we also, presently right now in the, if I may switch this again, the dumpsters are presently back here, but
Yeah.
we had meetings with conservation, They wanted us to move farther away, so we relocated the dumpsters here, and where the dumpsters are now is increased landscaping. So we added more landscaping to kind of help that pedestrian connection as well.
Now, did I notice, and I'm sorry, on the rendering there on the, at the back of the building at the rear entrance, did I notice there are 2 HP accessible spots there now?
Yeah,
Did I see
there
that
were,
correctly?
again, 2 handicap spots previously as well, but this is like designated for residential handicap
God bless.
access.
Very nice. Yeah.
So that's,
Could I just ask, is there something that I remember, Tilly, you mentioned, folks not HP, folks without HP plates, that wanted to just pull up, maybe offload some groceries because the elevator's there. Was that just dimensionally impossible to create in any way?
I don't believe so. I mean, it's similar, you're in a similar loading zone as the CVS back here. I mean, anyone could be pulling up here. We did notice that with a 40-foot, delivery truck, you can still get around it through the aisle. So somebody could easily, because of this walkway straight through, somebody could just pull up even behind one of the handicap spots, unload, and then park. Equally, I think there's plenty of residential parking here. It's not a big walk, just to go around the corner. So we're sensitive to your comments of keeping the residential parking here. And obviously, again, as we talked before, I mean, somebody who lives upstairs here may elect just to come up the stairs with one bag of groceries.
I'm just thinking that if there aren't designated spots for things, people just do it.
Anyway.
They just do it, and I'm just wondering, would that block things? But it sounds like that even if someone did just find themselves their own little space there, they'd still be able to, the traffic would still be able to move around.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
you can still get around a vehicle there.
And what if somebody parks there? And then if another person comes in with loads of things to carry. I think there ought to be some kind of a sign there that says this is the loading parking space.
Resident loading zone,
for the
10 minutes only,
residents.
Yeah,
something like that.
15-minute parking or something to that
Yeah,
effect?
15-minute parking exclusively for that purpose.
Some kind of signage that says 15-minute parking
We
only?
could accommodate something like that. Are you saying at the handicap spot or behind or?
But you suggested parking behind the handicap?
Well, that's just, the reality is as if somebody is just unloading, I mean, I would never encourage someone to block somebody else in.
You don't wanna make it a designated spot, but it's there for people to unload quickly.
Yeah, 15 minutes is not enough for them to get upstairs and.
Right,
their
so
packages,
so
and they
one
have to go
one
down
thing,
to move
one
the car.
solution is like, we could make, a second handicap spot here.
The third one, you mean?
And then,
Oh.
a third one, and this one really could be a 15-minute spot, or a 20-minute
Yeah.
spot, whatever. If you wanted to, but we'd be giving up a handicap spot. We don't really, I mean, technically, we could take up some of the landscape, I'd rather not, And so, but we could designate a different, we have enough room to put another handicap spot back here. I mean, technically, we have 6 handicap spots and only 5 are required on the site. But I'd like to keep the 6, and, but equally, even just because of this crosswalk, that this could easily be a handicap spot. And we could designate that a 15-minute.
Yeah.
What's your
because-
thought, Tilly?
Yeah, I think the parking for the residents to carry things upstairs should be as close to the building as possible.
And I
And-
mean, I
and-
would, excuse me, but I mean, I would contend this is 30 feet, 40 feet or so to go from here to there. I am concerned, and just, I'm a building owner as well, that you put a 15-minute spot, it gets abused. And people go, oh, I'll move it, and then they get a phone call, and next thing it's 2 hours, it's hard to police that. So I can understand the concern, but I do feel that this is a fairly short distance,
Recall too that we're talking about 7 units, or a population of maybe 10 residents.
But they're all
some
gonna
of
move
which-
their furniture in, right? And they have, if they don't move their furniture in, that they've had at a previous resident, then the moving people will have to move it in, and then,
Understood, that'll happen from time
Luggage.
to time, but I don't know that, given the site constraints and given the fact that the resident parking is right there, that we need to designate a drop-off spot. Remember too, that's not the only entrance for residents. There are 2 other entrances towards the front of the building, that they could also use, that will get them in, not to the elevator, but will also get them into the building. I mean,
Now,
if-
can I just interrupt?
Sure,
one
please.
second? Because they're bringing up a valid point. This is the only entrance closest or accessible for the elevator.
That's true.
Correct, the
Yeah.
only elevator entrance.
So, I mean, that'll be used a lot for people that are carrying things in, whether it's furniture or, groceries, whatever.
I was thinking, I
Yeah,
think we were
a
thinking more
load-
groceries.
Loading parking spot for resident parking only, just something designated for that.
right.
I mean, you go into parking lots now, and you see, designated 15-minute parking.
That's true.
Yeah.
Expected mother parking, veteran parking, so.
And there's nobody's gonna park back there to use CVS.
No.
No.
What,
So-
if you're
No,
thinking
it's
about it.
My only concern is I'm loath to lose one of those 2 very close HP spots. I'm more of the mind, where you pointed the 30-foot, the one that's 30 feet away, although 30 feet does sound like a long way. I think people, if they're really quick about it, they probably will just ignore all the signs. They'll pull up right behind the HP spot, take their things off, run them off, and run upstairs and
Maybe
run
we'll
back
get them
down.
moving quicker.
But for the,
Well, the back door there is gonna be the secure door.
Mhm.
So I think people will take their stuff out of their car,
put it
put it
inside the secure
in
door,
secure and go
run
park.
back in their car and park.
Yeah.
I think that's what they'll probably do. I do like the idea, though, that you mentioned, that corner spot. Yes. Maybe, I don't
a
know how the
prime
board
spot,
feels
yeah.
about it. It's a prime spot, everybody's gonna wanna park there, cause it's really close.
Right.
Maybe that should be a 15-minute spot,
That
maybe.
sounds like the best place for it.
Yeah.
For
I-
a drop
I
off
think
and
that's a
and that's a
good, I
sign.
think it's a good, practical kind of,
Maybe that's a
Solution
nice compromise for everything.
Bob's not happy with that.
What is it? You're not happy, Bob? What do
it's
you
not
think?
that I'm not happy, I
What's your
think-
thoughts? Give us your
I'd
thoughts.
say first come, first served, and the
First
best
come,
park.
first served.
Best parking spot, seriously, I mean.
Leave
Well,
it there,
I
let
would
you
like,
get
I
it.
would like you to save my parking spot out here.
Yeah,
where
I do
park.
think too, again, as a landlord or property owner myself, it's like sometimes we'll have almost like smaller grocery carts that are available in the elevator lobby. For somebody could come get a cart, and bring it. And then you have a couple carts in the elevator lobby, there's some extra space there. So somebody could go, oh, I got not 2 bags, I got 8 bags, or 6 bags. And
Thanksgiving
they
I'm
go
cooking.
get a cart, bring it back, and then they share it. It's almost like a luggage rack in a hotel or something. There's
In the hallway.
in the hallway. So I mean, there's other solutions to an unloading thing, but it's unfortunate we don't have more space here for resident loading as well, because we do have to share it with CVS, although they only get 1 delivery a week right now.
Well, you said you have an extra handicap unit, so parking area, so that's ideal. Use one of them, because, you don't have to be old, Bob, to want to be close to the door. If you look at any shopping mall, any supermarket, they're all, where's the crowded space? Right up close to the door. Everybody packs in.
My concern would be that people won't respect it.
Well, they don't respect the handicap either. So that's up to,
I think they're better with the handicap.
I think
they
they
are.
respect
I
the
think they are.
handicap.
I tend to think the
I've seen a
handicap
lot.
is much more sacred than
I'm
a
gonna keep
loading
my
zone
eye
in
on
the morning.
utilities when the handicap spot.
I see a lot that almost run to get their handicap car out of the handicap space.
It seems that signing that spot closest to the corner that we've talked about as a 15-minute only resident loading area
Looking at this.
seems like the best approach without sacrificing two handicap spaces right near the elevator, which very well may be used by residents,
Yeah,
permanently.
the handicap should stay as it is. Yeah.
And it shouldn't, just so I'm not that familiar, but it shouldn't be that much of a challenge to get a sign there.
No, not at all.
Say
Oh,
15
no,
minute
you're right on the
parking.
building.
No, that's, right.
It's easy.
What do you think, Tilly? And you're not,
I think that's,
you're not
I
happy with
think,
it? or-
no, I think that's a
that's a good
good,
compromise?
good compromise. On that side, though, he did say there would be like, truck delivery for CVS, is that correct?
Correct.
So that's gonna create another different, issue that'll probably later on be worked out, because I can just see a big truck there, trailer truck delivering, and somebody
Absolutely.
wanting to come around.
Well, this.
You're gonna have issues.
We
there.
diagrammed it there, and forgive the graphics, it's
facing the wrong
backwards,
way.
it's facing the wrong way. But somebody can still drive around the truck as it's parked and unloading.
And that's about 20 minutes once a week, is when
Yeah,
that
and
truck
it's
is
7
there.
AM on Tuesday morning for 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I know, I'm satisfied with that.
Do we have that
I
in
have
the
another
decision,
question.
20 minutes for one day?
We haven't done the
Loading?
decision yet, though. You're gonna leave
Well, I
that,
mean, obviously that-
you're gonna leave that for me
No,
to do for
if
the next time.
you, there's 101 different ways, everybody's so, different on, their idea of how they should park and whether the road is clear. I mean, there's as many people with different ideas.
And this is
So-
a very challenging site, because remember what we're doing here, we're mixing uses. We're mixing a residential use with a commercial use, and.
First one.
This is really the first one,
And we have to be sensitive to
there-
both the commercial issues and
And the
the
residential.
exactly, and that's a balance and act, and
Sometimes
maybe
they
it's not gonna be
conflict.
perfect, but I think we're doing, I think you've come to some pretty good solutions. I think you have.
You haven't reached
He's saving the best for last, though.
Okay, well,
the
which is
affordable
the-
housing.
Well, no,
That's the
how they came up with the scheme for the 12-foot wall to break it up.
Oh, yeah.
But he did,
yeah,
Brian
we-
briefly
we-
mentioned.
Yeah,
You just skimmed over that?
Yeah,
I was trying to get it on the TV.
The lower wall,
He
yeah.
acknowledged that.
Yep.
Yeah.
The low plantings, excellent idea.
Yeah.
Excellent.
the terrace.
That was
Yeah,
a
so,
good idea.
so it's, I mean, I will say the property owners are investing in this property, and we've really, like tripled the landscaping budget. And largely with that, it's a retaining wall structure, which really does, we took into account the idea of the mass of the wall. We're able to terrace it, put low shrubs, vines that will carry on into the chain link fence. And I think it'll really end up being a feature. I'll point out too that we also, enhanced other landscape islands, in particular, really starting with the entry. I'm sorry, the other side. We expanded the entry landscaping and are calling to redo it. There's one parking space that nobody ever parks here, right near the front. So we said, let's enhance this experience. Then along with the walkway, the pedestrian walkway coming in, we added there were two handicap spots over here in the island, having to cross over. We designated these for the commercial, so we now have 4 handicap straight for the commercial. You don't have to cross the street. Walking through, then we kind of framed this walkway with landscaping, as well as added another landscape here. So the whole experience coming in, I think we're really kind of warm up and improve that experience.
That is a good.
Yeah.
It
And,
looks much more residential now,
ugly now.
especially in conjunction with some of the facade improvements that I
Yeah.
saw in the renderings.
Thank you.
It
And
makes it,
and
it
then
makes it more
again,
residential.
the 2 extra landscaped islands that we added in the rear, and we're more designated, feeling this is the more appropriate residential amenity area with a couple picnic benches back there.
It's
a
interesting you
nice
mentioned
lawn.
picnic benches back there. that is actually, if I'm not mistaken, abutting the rail to the future rail trail, isn't it, John?
Yeah. Mhm.
And, but there's an elevation difference there?
It's not much, as you'd think. It's a very gentle slope up.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's overall only about 4 feet in elevation change.
interesting.
And then it really plateaus. Will be the old septic field there. So it's kind of a nice flat area. You get view of the lake.
Would people actually be able to walk off the trail and walk down and go to CVS?
Yeah, or the people living there, can they easily get in there?
Yes, yeah, I mean, there's no barrier.
Excellent.
It's all
And
grass
so there's
right
all
now.
the pedestrian
That would be
access.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Yep,
Um,
very
It's
nice.
a great raspberry patch there too.
Well,
Yes. You
Something-
found that, huh?
You know,
pick some raspberries, go make some muffins.
For the next meeting?
So the top of this septic field is fenced off for safety reasons. We're not necessarily designating it as a recreation area. People could use it, but, you know, it'll at least be safe. There's no kind of falling off
Do
the
we have a
wall.
detail of that fence?
I'm sorry?
Is there a detail in the detail sheet? for the
It's
fence?
really, it's chain link, but we're growing vines on it. So it'll be a vinyl covered chain link fence, with vine growth.
So the
So it'll
vegetation will
disappear.
completely obscure it,
Yes.
even in winter?
You know, it would not entirely, but a lot of vines, in your package, we have a landscape, kind of a plant guide. We selected a Virginia creeper, which actually does hold on to its dry leaves as winter comes, but obviously, you know, it's still a deciduous plant, but
Right.
it gets brown and then
If I could
regrowth in the
suggest
spring.
something,
It'll be covered with snow.
when you really, when it comes to vines, this area is excellent for grapevines.
Yeah, and that's
Oh, yeah.
natural, that's a natural. So
Yeah.
we could
You
always
get
put
nice
up,
big leaves.
Those will
put a
ripen in
trellis up
couple
there
weeks.
and,
I'm sure
We can have our
whoever's,
snacks over there.
I'm sure whoever's taking care of the landscaping will get creative.
we did, you know, lastly, we did, it came up in the last meeting, both John and I saw an article in the Boston Globe, for the 3D walkways. It's just a painted treatment, gives you a little pause for like, what am I driving over? And,
Is that what that is?
It's very effective, from what I've read.
yeah, and
How's it oriented?
well, it's in perspective. You basically
Paint it that
you
way.
basically paint it. We've all taken like perspective drawing in like
Uh.
grade school or whatever. You know, you can it's just painted so you center it and then you have the vanishing points on both sides. But
But it's like sidewalk art, where you're.
It reminds
yeah, it just
looking-
it's you
it's
paint
only-
it you
it's
paint
only
it
really
right
viewable
on.
from one direction, one.
See, if you
But-
look at this
but
photograph
you-
here,
Yep.
doesn't it look like they're actually standing, some of them are
Yeah.
standing
Yeah.
up on a
Absolutely.
On a
platform?
platform.
I thought it was the piano ivory.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Which direction is it oriented to? Is it when you're
Well,
leaving
to the center, but if you,
It's
it's
here.
interesting, if you do, I think if you stood off to the side, it would still read the same because of, I mean, I think you would still feel like it's still, three-dimensional without being distorted.
I think it's only gonna work in one direction. It's an optical illusion.
Well,
It's
and it
only gonna
is,
work
it is the approach
I'm just
direction.
wondering.
It's
so
designed for
it's
the approach.
As you come into the lot.
Right.
And turn right.
So you'll have it here, we would have it here on the right,
Facing
but
those two.
you probably wouldn't get it.
You
this
won't get it when you're leaving.
Right.
But you'll get it when you're coming
And
in.
then we also have it here.
And that's where you want it, because
That's where you
people
want
are in
it,
a
yeah.
hurry, they've just
Right.
gotten through traffic, and that should be the little bit of, oh, hang
Little-
on,
little
I'm in the parking
hesitation.
lot.
Right.
There's a walkway, there might be people here,
Right.
let me take a breath, type of thing. Excellent, I like it.
You're
So-
going to use all of this vegetation, all of these landscapes?
That's what, yeah, that's the
That's
intention.
gonna be
On the
nice.
plan.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
and we did, you know, I consulted with the landscape architect who done some beautiful work.
So we mentioned the outdoor.
We're gonna be into Realtor's Manual.
What did you,
I had two questions. John, could you bring the diagram back up, the drawing back up?
Yep, this one here, or-
Yeah. And go back up that way.
yeah.
Backyard.
Hold on, one
Yeah.
second.
Go up, please.
I gotta, hold on one second, I gotta, come on, stop.
Scale
Stop, hold on.
There we go.
Where do you wanna go?
I wanna see right here.
Okay, right there.
Yeah, could you zoom in a little bit on that? The way this is drawn and the way that, this picture is drawn, people coming out of here wanting to go around the building are gonna have to step down.
I apologize, it appears to be a curb, but the intention is that's gotta be flushed out. It's a flush condition, asphalt to concrete. So
From here to
that,
here or here to here?
So there's no
all
curb.
three of those.
Still curved. It's all
No
one line.
curb, no curb at the hatched area. So it shows a curb, but it was difficult to do that in the rendering and at some point. So that hatched area at the inside of the two walkways, the asphalt is intended to come flush to the walkways so that you can go from
So you could say.
concrete to concrete
roll
without,
a cart up
roll a
there.
cart
Or a
through it.
wheelchair or.
Wheelchair, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that, we're repaving, by the way, the client's committed to like repaving the lot, which was not, the case on the last,
Yes, I was
application.
surprised to see
And
that.
and
Just to
so
make
we're
a big
able to
difference. Yeah.
really rebase grade, I mean, it's a major endeavor, but
Adding an inch and a half, are you?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. that's
So,
fine. That's huge.
so it's all gonna be new top coat and that'll be the high point, that inside corner of the paved area. So that can be a continuous walkway.
I see what
At
your
one point,
concern was.
I was going to make the concrete do that, just to visually connect them more.
Mhm.
But we can do it with just, level pavement.
And then,
You're concerned about people having to walk around that corner.
And by the
that
time
corner.
you're there,
You have to step down
it'll
and
be
step
curved.
back up.
It'll be
It's not
curved.
gonna be
Now,
right.
where the curve is that going to be extended out of the,
he's saying that there's not gonna be a curb
There is
here.
no curb.
It's all
There's no
flush.
No
I
curb.
mean, right here where the planter is.
That's what I was gonna, my next question.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
all right, go ahead, go ahead.
No, you
Yeah,
asked.
that should be flat. It shouldn't be extended because what water is coming off of your pavement is gonna go down the side instead of going right to those plantings.
the, the asphalt in front of the planting area would be dropped compared to the, that inside corner back there. So a lot of times we would keep that curb for both plowing purposes as well as to retain any kind of mulch bed and soil.
Water's going
The
this way,
the
isn't it?
water would still go
Your water's
down
going
that
this
way,
way.
it would go
Going
away
down.
from it, so it's
Yeah.
gonna
It's going this
slope. Yeah, it's gonna slope and then down the driveway,
Going down the driveway
And
though.
that way.
and
Yeah,
that way, yeah,
right.
towards the front.
Instead
It all
of,
goes slope
instead
to
of,
the front.
well, this is going to collect your roof water, I assume, but how is that gonna happen? Has to run onto the sidewalk.
And then it would go into the landscape bed there, and it would absorb into the landscape.
Something should be at the rain pipe, at the gutter here, shouldn't it? To
Well, at
collect
that-
water?
Yeah, I mean, that, essentially, that could be directed, just as under the slab, because we're pouring all new slab there,
Uh-huh,
and they could run it right into the landscape bed,
I think that would be a good
Yeah, that-
idea.
because we don't want it to ice up or anything.
That's right.
Right. That's a simple solution.
So thank you, that addresses the first question. Could you bring the diagram back up again?
Yeah.
The second question, has to do, and could we look down here?
Mhm.
And go all the way down. That's perfect. Right now, the crosswalk is right about here, across, Central Street.
They're doing it right in front of the post
And
office.
there's an island on either side of it. I was just looking on Google Maps,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Now, it strikes me as if this is probably the busiest section. And I laud the fact that you've got direct access. I'm wondering if that access might not be better from here.
That's a brook. there.
Yeah,
you're
there's,
not gonna
you
get
can't,
across
it's,
the-
you'd have to
Yeah.
put a bridge,
Need a
a
bridge.
footbridge.
Yeah, there's
Wet.
brook.
Yeah, it's quite flowing.
Yeah, but, you're driving people into the most active, part of the driveway. And it maybe a little bridge over it might
I
not
see
be a
what you're
bad
saying.
solution.
In other words, what you're saying, Bob, if I'm getting it the right way, is that folks are gonna be coming out this way if they wanna be pedestrians, right out of the building, walking out here, and then they have to
And they have
walk
to walk over
across the
here.
entrance over to there to get to the crosswalk, to go to the post office.
Well, that's how it is
Cross
now
the-
anyway.
You know what?
Yes. that
Yeah,
is
but
how
nobody
it is
lives
now.
there now.
I thought the same thing, but, like I said, even though it doesn't seem to be shown, I'm sure it shows somewhere, on one of these, but, that, historically, there was a river.
Oh, I know, and there
through
has been in the
Georgetown.
last 10 years.
Yeah, and-
In big
Yeah,
storms.
and that area there is sort of a little bit of a collection area and a,
In those circumstances, though, it's a collection area, you're just as likely to have flooding going across the road.
Do you know
under
how
those-
big
Oh,
that culvert
yeah,
is, Bob?
yeah,
It's big.
it's happened.
3 feet
It's
round.
happened, it's happened.
It's a
Believe me,
big
it's
I know it's
water
happened.
source.
I know it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
But I mean-
did you mention that at the Concom?
Oh, yeah,
That's gonna happen whether
we've
irrespective.
talked to them, I mean, our improvements, we're not changing, anything, they like the fact that we're repaving and that we've added the landscape and moved the dumpsters, they were thrilled, and so,
But that was not discussed.
Again, this
No,
is
in
another
terms of-
option here. All of that parking area compared to all of this parking area, where there could be a conflict between the pedestrians and automobiles. This is tiny, that's huge, and this is how you get to the drive-through. It's how these people are gonna get to their own parking spots. So I'm a little concerned about that. If it could be moved to this side, then people won't be walking across the main entrance.
part of the.
And they won't be tempted to just blast across the street.
We did consider that side after the last meeting and discussed it at length with the civil engineer. And part of the decision was to simplify, we already have this crosswalk and that was critical. Because there, as you say, there's more parking here, people are gonna cross over. And instead of doing another one here, you know, it's like, what happens to these people too? So we felt this was cleaner, there's a little more of a grade change, it could happen there, the walkway. But then it was randomly kind of coming across, we'd have to give up a parking space here to walk through it. We're in the middle of, between cars.
I think more people park on the left side, yeah.
This was cleaner in the pedestrian path and it for a number of reasons, just it felt like it simplified and defined the pedestrian walkway
Because
more.
they can come out of the elevator and then keep walking
The
straight.
elevator is back here.
Right.
There's no elevator
Oh,
over
I
there.
thought that was it.
But they can
No.
walk,
Stairs.
they can
No,
walk
it's
through the
back.
building though and walk out.
Oh, there's a doorway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
there's
again,
stairs.
doorway there,
There's
yeah.
stairs, yeah.
There's two entrances in
Yeah,
the
the
front that
doorway
will
is
get you
there,
into the
yeah.
upstairs.
So, I mean,
But there's stairs
the
here too.
the concern I had was kind of cutting right through the middle of the designated commercial parking spot for a pedestrian.
Yeah,
Walkway.
that's,
It just didn't, it seemed more forced.
This is, to me, this is in the middle of the parking area.
No, it's on the edge.
It's, no, you have a huge parking area here, and you have the main parking area here. And if maybe it's on the edge of this parking area and on the edge of this parking area. But an awful lot of cars are going this way. Everyone who's going up to CVS,
Right, but, I mean, my
They all
experience,
have pedestrians that are associated with them that have to safely get into the building too. And that, the only way you're gonna do that is through, you know, a designated main pedestrian corridor, right?
right, I mean, there's,
You know
I
what?
guess my experience in coming as I went to CVS before tonight's meeting,
I did as
almost
well.
everybody parks right in front of the building.
Right.
To the
you
left.
know.
Until
Yeah.
the
And
spots
so
are filled
those
in.
are the prime
Yeah.
spots.
Yep.
I think people are more inclined to go to the left to park in front of the building if there's a spot there.
You know,
So-
I'd agree with, I'd agree with them, I'd agree with you, but that is, for my personal experience, that's where you go first.
Yeah.
If those are all loaded up and you can't get a spot, then you
go
cut
to the
over.
right.
But it's the rare occurrence.
You have
where
to
go
drive
that
over a
way.
three-dimensional obstacle.
If, if these
You need a person.
Yes.
I'm going over here.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
going over here.
Oh, okay, but a lot of times.
I'm not going over
It
here.
depends if you're getting your,
Staying
you know,
on the
laundry done or what. you're
Right,
doing.
right,
Yeah,
but I'm talking
yeah,
about
but yeah.
CVS being the main.
Yes, for, as CVS, if that was the main draw, absolutely. I know what you're saying. Yeah, even if I'm going to CVS, sometimes I park further down there. So, just because I'm not in the parking lot, I'm not walking through the lot. I'm walking out of my vehicle, onto the sidewalk there, and into CVS. Well, this is one of those things, I
You
think
know,
it's
I can
it's
tell
a
you-
6 of one, half dozen of another.
Right.
The biggest
Bruce,
pro-
what do you think?
Yeah, I always park on the left, and I think I parked on the right once when all the spots were full there, maybe, in the.
So you're liking it here,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Joey?
Yeah, I park on the left.
So
CVS.
you're saying basically here,
Yeah.
as opposed to there? Bob, you mentioned it, but I don't need to ask you to believe it. What, Tilly?
You don't wanna know, I park on the right.
Oh, well.
Because it's elevated
It's
on
not
the
so much
side.
where,
I
it's not so
park
much
in
where
both
do you park,
together.
I think the salient point right
But
now.
everybody's gonna find their
Are
own
we
way.
asking
That's the
them to
one,
leave
yeah.
it here? Or are we asking them to move it over to here? I think
Can
that's
we
the
move
question.
where the crosswalk is in the road, or is that not a viable
What is the
option?
question?
No, that's not viable, but I wanna interject here.
Sure.
That crosswalk services people that are walking up and down Central Street, coming from the south.
Yeah.
No problem there. The next crosswalk is down at the signal, right in front of Town Hall.
Yeah,
Okay, that doesn't do anybody any good. Neither one of those do anybody any good trying to migrate from Crosby's over to CVS,
Correct.
CVS over there.
I just walk
You
across, I
need a
don't even go to
you need a
crosswalk.
crosswalk.
City girl.
Tons of people walk. That's the one complaint I've gotten in the office from people, multiple people. And I cross over there every day. There's no crosswalk. You're going over 3 lanes of travel. It's heavily trafficked. It needs a crosswalk.
People are turning in every
Yeah,
direction.
you just need a crosswalk, because nobody stops. If you're in a crosswalk, 50% of the people will stop. If there's no crosswalk, you're not getting across. And people have complained to me since I've come here, that we need a crosswalk there. Now,
Is that a
now they
suggestion you're
typically,
making for this?
yeah,
For this
now
project?
typically, they don't like putting
Right here?
crosswalks, in unsignalized locations.
Mhm.
So that's,
Oh.
that's a problem. But, if any place calls out for a pedestrian
It's there.
crosswalk, with one of these fancy lights that, Massachusetts does love spending money on, you get the button,
Yeah.
it's solar powered,
That's the one up the street,
That's the one
right?
up
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
East Main.
yeah, it's a dangerous location to try to cross.
I mean, you have
You have to
the
hoof it.
supermarket, you have all these hair places, you have
Yeah.
restaurants, you have CVS, you have a post office, you have that's basically the town,
Yeah.
right there.
If the post office one was eliminated and moved down to intersect with that pedestrian, that would service
Mm-hmm.
5 times as
You're
many
talking about
pedestrians.
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
I think it would be,
There aren't many people that walk
Mhm.
to go to the post office. There's plenty of people that are walking for the retail area, back and forth.
And they're
Offhand,
walking their dogs,
if
I
I could-
see a lot of that.
If I could ask a logistical question, what is directly opposite this? Is that the opening to
That's-
Crosby's?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the opening, is it
Yeah,
the
that's-
driveway of
Well, no,
Crosby's
it
or
goes
is it
right
the
to a
sidewalk?
sidewalk.
It
right
goes
to
to a sidewalk.
sidewalk.
Right.
yeah, because the driveway to the Crosby's is just over a couple of inches, basically.
There's the CVS.
Mhm.
They'd have to make it a handicap accessible
Yeah.
curb cut.
So here's the
so-
crosswalk.
I see it.
And you can see where it was getting
So it
you
would
to.
be-
So this
It would be
sidewalk going right down, this walkway
Going
going
right
down
there.
to
Over
the
here.
sidewalk.
Here's where the
If we're
entrance is to
going to put
Crosby's.
in a crosswalk,
Yep, I'm seeing it.
it would have to be a handicap accessible, so it might have to be strategically located, within a certain distance there, but it would help to service the pedestrian traffic.
John, yeah,
You were
yeah.
planning
The
handicap
the only problem with that,
accessibility
John, is, I'm looking at it
from
right
your
now.
lot to the,
This though,
it's projecting.
There is
to
a
the
grade
opening.
change on, no matter
projecting to
where
the
you
opening.
go through, that
And
can't
cur-
be handicap accessible.
It can't.
There's steps there, yeah.
No.
The grade change is too great to get a handicap ramp from the sidewalk to the pavement.
It is right into the
Well-
opening.
It's too
Oh,
great.
that's too
John,
bad.
can you pull up Google? Can you pull up a Google image? Because the
It
problem
would
is,
have to get driven into
that,
the
that
lot.
projects to the opening, the driveway opening
Yeah.
of the parking lot. You're not going to a,
Yes.
yes, Crosby's. You're not going to a sidewalk, you're going to
You're
a,
going to the
opening.
driveway, the opening.
Yes.
And,
You'd have to go on the other side and
then
then
maybe we
cross
would
the
have to go
Because
across.
there
or
isn't any
something.
sidewalk in Crosby's.
Not in
The other
Crosby's, no,
side.
you're correct.
No,
Yeah.
no, but it's,
But
in other
you're-
words, along Central Street there,
yeah, so how do
there's
you,
a sidewalk.
how does a pedestrian walk into that shopping center across, they have to walk up
As soon as you
they
leave,
have
Walk
to-
up the,
the driveway,
yes.
just like they do with CBS now.
yeah,
Yep.
right, right.
Yeah, so,
So
I-
it's, there we go.
Let's fix Georgetown.
One crosswalk at a time.
One crosswalk at a time.
Yeah, this is what you're talking about. Here's the entrance to Crosby's.
Yeah.
Here's the entrance to CVS.
you might, yeah, we're right, it's right on the edge there. If you see that parking space, oh, you took it
It's
off.
poor
but-
planning, I don't know who this
No, but here's where we're talking about.
Right. But that, it's right on that edge,
Yeah,
right at
right
the
there.
edge, the walkway's right where the
The
last,
walkway would be right here?
Yeah.
well,
Right where that
it's, see
post
the
is.
left post, it's at
That
the
one?
left edge of the 5-foot walkway, yeah,
Mm.
straight through.
Okay,
So the
180
bushes would
is
be
done?
gone.
I'm sorry?
Those bushes would be gone then.
Yeah, we're re-landscaping
Yeah.
that whole section.
I
And I do,
Can you keep pulling, John,
think
for
it-
180?
I actually,
Yeah, so you'd end up, well, I don't know.
yeah, right in the,
I think we run on the edge.
right on the edge,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
right on the edge.
Oh, there is a
And
sidewalk.
you can't have some kind of asphalt to make it a
It's,
handicap
it's the
accessible?
pitch, it's
I
gotta be a
know, I can do it.
112
Hold on, I'll
pitch.
pull it out of there. Get it back out.
There you go.
Yeah.
You must
Come
want a
on.
bird's eye
Solid
view.
street view, yeah, you wanna.
Yeah,
look
you know what?
up. I don't know. And that's 1995 anyway, so.
Yeah, but that's really what it is. The best location, you know, cause they have the pedestrian corridor over Crosby's anyway here. See this? And it goes out to here. So if you could,
That's where,
Really?
yeah, I use it all the time.
Really?
Yep.
see, that's where it should be, I mean, which is up by the light.
Yeah, it's all handicap accessible too. So it gets out to here. So,
So that would be a logical
yeah,
place for a crosswalk.
right there, yep.
So we're in the very edge of
Mhm.
all of CVS there.
Can you just do a normal, regular map?
Yeah, see, but this is what I'm talking about. That's their pedestrian corridor. That's the beginning of it.
Right,
And then it meanders all the way through the parking lot.
right.
So when you,
It's
that-
not handicap.
It doesn't look,
Accessible.
it
there's
looks
an,
like a curve.
look at this, there's an existing curb cut
Yes, it's the
there.
existing curb cut.
So,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yep.
you could modify that. So
Well,
that,
I don't think, I mean, people are gonna
Can we throw
not
this
walk
to you?
here.
Can we throw this to you to,
So,
I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe be able to look at this and examine this, and I, not to throw it at you, but
Yeah, I mean,
This sounds like a-
our engineer did look at it. I mean, there are concerns with, I mean, the state layout, you've got 3 lanes there, and you're not near a
talking about a
light.
driveway entrance there, or no?
no.
We're talking about a crosswalk.
talking,
Just a
just a
crosswalk.
crosswalk across 97 there, yeah, it's Central Street.
Yeah,
Because at that point, well,
I-
if we can go back to the
Yep.
plan, John, if you can.
Hold on one second.
I remember, I mean, it got brought up in the last meeting, and when we had a member of the public who happens to be on the zoning board, who we also had been in front of, and she made the comment, it may be a town issue, it's more than an applicant issue, and I have to plead for your acceptance that to put it on, we are investing so much, I've talked the client into enhancing the landscape. They're doing a new septic system. It's, you know, a lot, I mean, a lot of money to do the residential where they,
Yeah.
I mean.
I have a solution, just leave what they're proposing
Right.
alone, okay? Now, look at.
They're real close to the
if you can
curb cut
see-
there,
If you
right?
look up here, see where the hand is?
Mhm.
So the walkway they're proposing is coming down here, so that's the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk,
Yep, There's your
right?
curb cut.
Yeah,
And
and then
then
it
you-
looks like you can actually manipulate
Go right
this
across
coming
it,
90
yeah.
90 degrees. You don't have to touch the driveway entrance. Just this area needs to be modified, which would be an easy thing to do, watch, because it's already so modified.
Because you have the curb cut there.
Yeah, you already have the curb cut. And I'm thinking right here, to match it up at 90 degrees, you're right in here.
Mhm.
So you're just modifying this particular area here, which already has a concrete slope to it.
Mhm.
So you just wanna match it up with the sidewalk. It's not a matter of creating another pedestrian walkway there. It's just, hey, they'll walk from that point down to here, and you have a drive, you have a nice crosswalk
Nobody's
here.
gonna do that.
Or they'll just run right straight across.
Yeah, nobody's gonna do
That's,
that.
and that's my concern.
But it sounds like
I-
it's something that we can,
I mean,
that we can deal with
keep
later at another
repeating
time.
myself, it's 7 to 10 residents, the likelihood that they're gonna do that, I think, is relatively low, and the impact that they're bringing to the pedestrian issues that already are existing, I think, are also not terribly high. But
I do think it's more of a general public amenity, you know, or kind of issue that's not necessarily caused by this building.
I agree, it's
becoming a
more
mixed-
general.
Yeah.
I mean,
A
if
mixed
we're putting
use.
50 to 60 units in, I get it, that they're gonna be going across the street, but
What I'm saying is,
Right.
just leave it the way you're planning to do it, right? If there's any modification within the right of way, that would be a town thing.
It could,
Yeah.
it looks as though it
Leave
could
it at
be
that.
relatively easy to do.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
still not
I
comfortable
don't even
with
think
that.
you
And
really need to
it's not-
modify anything, you
It's
just need
not
to
a
paint
thing
some
we should
lines.
tag them with an effort of, it's if the town wants to
It's
do
a
it.
town issue.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
if that curb cut wasn't already there, then I think we'd probably ask for your understanding in doing something like that, but it's already there, so.
But nobody's gonna use that. Nobody's gonna
And maybe
use it.
that's
You're
a
gonna have
question.
seven
Well, it's not
people-
like, how many people use the one by the post office?
7 families are gonna be going to Crosby's. 7 families are gonna be doing that every day.
It sounds like this is a,
This is gonna have much more movement across this
A lot of
than-
traffic, yeah.
it sounds like a traffic committee question. I mean, we've identified the ability of it, and we can point out that now, yes, there will be this
Mhm.
new access way down there. Yeah, I'm good with the way the
I
plan
mean,
is
we're
showing
not,
right
we're
now.
not suggesting a light there, we're suggesting just to make it access, to be
And-
straight so that people
So
don't
where
get
would you
hurt
want
on the
it to
street.
That's what I said.
I mean, I don't think,
But I contend it's
sympathize
not,
with-
it,
Just straight.
I think it's
Straight across.
beyond, the review of the project,
Use this as
for
walkway.
the 7 apartments that we're
Just
putting
take it
in.
across.
I understand,
It's
but I
something
think
that's
it's a general
needed,
part.
it's
Got it.
like,
So
it's
it's
something
direct.
that's needed now, regardless of what they're
I
doing.
agree with that.
People
That's needed either way.
Straight.
Yeah,
It's,
it's just something that's been avoided.
yeah, but my personal opinion, we are within our right to say something, that close to your project that needs to be done, and it shouldn't be the town, cause the town is strapped for money. This is your project, and we're making allowances in time and hearing your request, and I don't have sympathy for, you're gonna make tons of money with rent on these apartments.
Well, let's,
And the only thing I wanna differ, not to be argumentative though, with any type of improvement, it's supposed to be a rational nexus that's involved
Well,
with
we
it.
wouldn't even
So-
think of it
so
if it wasn't for these
say-
apartments.
Say it would be 1/100th of an impact for that need caused by the 7 new units, 1/100th, say,
Right.
estimate,
Yeah.
relative to all the existing pedestrians that would like to have that corridor in place now, so it just
right.
didn't exist. So you're making them bear the entire cost of something that they're only 1/100th of the impact of. So, I mean, that's how capital improvement, impact fees are implemented, it's all
Sure.
calculus.
But we're
based,
not
but it's
doing an
all
impact
based on
fee.
rational nexus. You can't support in front of a judge you know, tagging somebody for 100% of the cost for something that they're only, you know, producing a 1/100th of the impact.
So what you're saying is they're getting the residents out to the sidewalk,
Yeah.
and that's the public way, and beyond that, it's,
Yeah, but say it was a 100-unit apartment complex, we
Then
wouldn't
it'd be a
even
different
have
story.
this discussion.
This is a very small.
They'd have to do it.
That
addition.
most people are crossing the road would not be residents of that building.
I
Plus,
think we should move on from this.
yeah.
Everybody good with
Totally
moving
good
on
with
from
this,
this? Is everybody good with that?
Yeah, we have an easement issue now?
Well,
Yeah.
I think you were going through them, outdoor amenities, the dumpster was relocated.
Yep.
It'll be screened and fenced, and, at this point, there were 4 points here. The big one that jumps out at me is the request by the fire department chief.
Right,
Chief of
so
the fire department.
what we-
Did you discuss that?
what we think would work is a condition on this decision that we have an affirmative duty to work with the fire department to come up with an easement that will work for what they're looking for. I don't have the details on it now, and in terms of what they're looking for, they gave us the parameters in their letter. And I think that would
And
work.
it was back up internally of our site, which,
Right.
and the applicant, the property owner had no problem with granting it. We have to go through the legal definition of what the easement is.
Right.
It was just clipping the corner or something.
It's something the town would probably have to accept at town meeting, so it's a longer range issue, but we're happy to have a condition that requires us to do it. We think that there's space to do it, and we can address their needs that way.
You can match it up here, there's the visual. So, see this bump out right here? That's this bump out right here.
Yeah.
See that? Is that bump out?
Can we get a clean oblique on that, John?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Harry, if you just look at this, I'll cut it off.
Yeah.
So from that bump out, and that's on the plan here, from that bump out, this whole area here is not being utilized.
What I was noticing, and this is why, at the end of the meeting, I had asked, if you'd be able to represent the public safety building on the plan for the next, for this edition. It would make this a lot easier. If I'm not mistaken, you're building a wall on the, what would that be, the eastern side of the septic system?
Right here, yeah. It's well away from that.
It is well away from that, and I drove in there today to look, and it looked to me like your life would be a heck of a lot easier if all of that was excavated out so that you could build that wall. And then once it's cleared, at that point, the easement would be easy to establish and very, very easy to
Yeah, I mean,
grant.
I think a
And
civil-
I don't think the town is, they're looking for an easement. They're not looking for a transfer of land.
Well, it
in
still
any way.
requires town meeting approval to accept the interest in real property, because the town would be accepting that easement.
I'm not aware of that.
I believe under
done
subdivision,
that?
through the special permit, we may be able to take it.
Yeah.
Not take it, excuse me, I'm not taking anything, but accept it on behalf of the town.
Again, I mean, a civil once it's defined with the public safety, what it's all about vehicle turning radius, correct? I mean,
It's all about opening it up so that,
The vehicles
my
can have
understanding
little
is
more-
that that last bay, that
So you're just going,
right,
most,
so it's
most
like
western bay
I think it's
has
clipping this
clean
corner.
access to pull out
Right.
in an emergency and go straight out as opposed to doing a dipsy doodle there.
Yeah.
That's my
Right.
understanding. That's why I was hoping that it could be shown on the plan. It would greatly facilitate things, because if it was represented on the plan, then there could be reference on the plan, and there would be a way to facilitate the
But, I
the
mean,
donation freely given
Yeah.
of the easement. We just so you know, we can't demand anything like that. We can ask. We can certainly ask, and if
And that's why I think, for that exact reason, I think it works well as a condition, as an obligation, that it will be a condition that we have to work with the fire department within a fixed period of time to develop an easement that we would grant to the town, to accommodate their needs. And it would be, if it's a condition of the special permit, it's a zoning issue. If we don't do it, we have a problem.
I get it. Do you have like What do you think, John?
It's,
Does this gentleman come up with that wording, or?
Oh, yeah, and
Maybe you could help us out with that wording?
Happy to do it.
it has to be phrased as an agreement. The applicant has agreed.
yeah, and you know what? we
Let's
could-
see.
we
Not
could-
that we're
let's see
gonna
what the-
ask.
It's a
let's see what the
condition, it's a
wording is.
condition.
Let's
Yeah,
see what
for-
the wording is.
Prior to the certificate of occupancy for the
Yep.
first residential unit.
I think you're
Right.
gonna do it while you're building your septic system.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
I've been in
that's-
construction 40 years. I think you're gonna wanna do it. I think it's gonna make your life a heck of a lot easier.
Well, yeah, I get that, building and designing in terms of actually granting the interest to the town, you know, gives us a good trigger that it's gotta be done prior to the issuance of the first CO, which will have other
Or something
triggers
like
by
that.
that date as well.
But I guess there'd be one discussion whether, you know, they're willing to give access to this portion of their parcel as an easement. Is it a condition in your mind that the applicant has to pay for the improvement? And there'd be paving involved, so one, we have to get a civil engineer to design the road improvement. You know, additional paving, we have to regrade it, may require, you know, and then it's preparing, expanding the driveway of a town facility. If this was private parties, we could grant an easement, but it would be up for the beneficiary to pay for the improvement. So it's like, to me, it's like,
From my
this- we're
perspective,
give-
the
we're-
way I'm looking at it, it would be the ultimate in cooperation and generosity and being a good corporate neighbor. If you were to grant the easement and the land and the use of the land, as far as the town being the ones that make the improvements, I think that's being a neighbor. The town should pay for their own improvements. It's an improvement that they want to make.
right, so I just.
And I think if you were to freely offer the gift of that easement, I think that would be a very generous thing.
And that's how we understood it, is it would be donating the easement for the town to do in that area what it needs to do.
But at the same time, it could also help you build the septic area.
The
If you can
grubbing and
use our
cleaning.
land to
Grubbing
do
and
that.
cleaning.
Understood.
Well, yeah.
So
My
it's a
understanding
benefit
is
for
we're-
you as well as the
We're
town.
coming, the access is straight in, that's how they're gonna build it, straight in. And we have to raise the,
So you don't need the back area to get walled in.
no.
You're not gonna
The
do
wall's
anything with the
stopping there.
septic.
They're gonna come straight in, they have to prepare the land, we're bringing in fill to
I think
raise,
you're gonna find it a heck of a lot easier if you just level that whole area.
yeah. I mean, you can see the grade naturally goes up.
And I don't think that the fire department would have a problem granting you temporary access.
Access,
easements.
right, and it's all mutual
One
again,
hand
yeah,
helps
yeah.
the other.
Exactly. So
So they-
I think we're talking the same thing.
I think
really
we are.
do.
I think we're talking a very
So I'll
cooperative.
come up with language for a condition, John, and send it to you, relatively shortly, so you can get the decision put together.
And they'll probably shorten their time getting to that facility in case of emergency.
Sure.
It's all about public safety.
That's right.
Public, yeah, safety first.
Good try. Good try. Were there any other concerns from the members?
Affordable housing, that's what I
Yeah.
wanna hear about.
Affordable
I was gonna
Right.
bring that up, Tilly, but I just wanted to know if there were any other logistical concerns with the site plan portion of it. We good? Okay. What do we know about the affordable housing component?
So I've had some exchanges with the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust, who was here at our last meeting.
He's not the chair,
Who's that?
I'm sorry, Paul
was that?
Paul
Okay.
Nelson.
yeah.
Paul Nelson from the
right.
Affordable Housing Trust?
Right,
Mr. Surface is the chair.
okay,
Okay.
He's a member.
got it. So I had conversations or exchanges with him in terms of what we'd be looking at in terms of a payment in lieu and how that gets calculated, and we provided some rental payment estimates that we have. And so similar to the easement, I envision it as a condition of the special permit that in order to comply with the zoning bylaw, the inclusionary housing bylaw, we have to make a payment in lieu prior to the issuance of the CO. The way the bylaw works, it's a fraction, which would be 0.7, because we have 7 units, it's 10%. If you're providing the unit, it would be, you have to round up, you can't provide 0.7 units, you have to provide 1. for a payment in lieu, you can do it as a fraction. Given the size of the facility, we think that makes sense to do a payment in lieu versus a unit, given, you know, the administrative work associated with having an affordable unit. If you've got a large facility, you know, you set that up and you've got a couple units, you can do it. With a 7-unit building, I think having one of them be affordable and the administration associated with that doesn't make sense to do it on site. So we think the payment in lieu makes the most sense, and I can put together a condition if John doesn't have one in terms of how that would go in the special permit decision.
And is that, I mean, I'm not asking that you speak for the Affordable Housing
Yeah.
Trust, I'm certain they can speak for themselves, but was this something that was a mutually agreed type of,
And I'm sorry, I've had, my correspondence has been with Paul Nelson. I can certainly bring it to the trust, and it will be a condition of the special permit. It's my understanding that the planning board, as the permit granting authority, puts the condition in the decision that we have to comply with it, and has the option of which way we go about doing it.
correct, it's, for the most part, we sort of take our, we very, very greatly take the opinion of the trust.
Sure.
To heart.
But we don't know.
Well, let's get
Did
maybe
Paul-
some more details.
Did Paul,
His all indications were that it was the payment in lieu is what.
Payment in
what
lieu
they
as
were
opposed
looking
to an on,
Didn't
an
we get
on-site.
something from Paul that said he would prefer having the unit?
Well,
I thought we had some correspondence from
again,
Paul.
this is why,
Well-
this is now an update, and
Yeah, and we should get an update from the Affordable Housing Trust because they're working on a regional affordable housing plan that will actually start producing housing units.
Excellent.
Rather than sitting on funds and not creating housing, so.
And not creating housing for these people to live in.
Right, right, so there's a grouping and, you know, accumulating of the funds.
excellent.
Yeah, so they can actually have enough money to produce housing, so that's something that's being worked on,
Excellent.
on a regional scale.
Excellent. Then with respect to this one specific case for the inclusionary housing bylaw, it sounds like we'll be getting some input from them. Have you,
or official, more official?
Yes,
Got-
we will, yes, we will get that, and what I can do is put the condition together and then run it by them to see if that works for them, if the board's amenable to that.
and did you folks actually have a chance to come up with a formula? I know
I mean, if-
there's a formula, but it's the inputs of the
The
formula.
formula's in the
Excuse me.
bylaw, and we've provided the inputs that we can provide.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent, excellent. Sounds like you're moving forward with that. Great.
So what I would suggest that, what we could do is go in the direction of a draft, decision for the board to consider at either the, September 11th meeting or again, the 25th. So that would give us 3 projects to deal with on the 25th. What do you gentlemen think about
I
that?
think the sooner the better, as far as the applicant goes. We've been through a lengthy process that's started with town meeting last
Yeah,
year.
I know, you know what, everybody's in a hurry, and I get that, everybody gets that. But, you know, in realistic terms, to come up with a good, solid draft, certificate of approval for the board to consider at the next meeting, deal with the, Georgetown Affordable Housing Trust, get that squared away. Try to get some work done with the fire chief and, you know, try to work out that easement stuff.
John, can I ask you what?
And that we're in August still,
Yeah,
and
well-
try to get 2 people together for a meeting is
That's tough.
impossible.
What is the September 11th?
It's open. If we-
Relatively
yeah,
open?
If we wanna do it and experiment with it, we can continue this hearing to the 11th.
Are we pushing our luck to think that we'll have a draft that'll be?
I'm just saying, the meeting's open enough that the board, if you want to consider, just carrying this over to the 11th and see where it goes, that's fine. And if it doesn't work out, we can deal with it.
Then we push it out.
When is the next meeting with the trust?
I don't know when their next meeting is, but we'll get that.
Sounds like you're gonna accelerate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind, absolutely don't mind putting it on for the 11th. I
Is
just,
that, yeah, I was just asking if that's
I don't-
reasonable.
I don't wanna end up-
Is that reasonable?
yeah, it's reasonable. The only thing we have on there right now of major significance is 51 West Main Street, Sedl's.
Gotcha.
And that might be kicked out, who knows?
See what happens.
Yeah. playing all this by ear.
Any more concerns?
Still not happy.
Still not happy?
So what's gonna happen with the crosswalk? Let's say we give a contingent approval, that's still not resolved, the crosswalk.
Are we talking about changing the crosswalk now? Is that where you?
Well, I
Is that
mean,
where
it
you
was
are?
still kinda in flux, I guess,
Okay, I thought that we were keeping the sidewalk where it was, where it was shown on the plan. Did I misinterpret what everybody wanted?
okay, I
Well,
just
that's not
didn't
what I
know.
want,
Because-
but
okay,
you understand
well,
that.
And I get that, and if you wanna make a motion, I certainly will hear it,
To do what?
to resolve it once and for all, so that there's absolute clarity on their part. They have to go away and either change a plan or not change a plan.
I'd certainly like some more analysis of it. I mean, that picture, I don't think that we have a solid number as to how many cars go one way or the other out of into the parking area. The addition of people going across the street, which I know they're gonna do frequently. It's of concern. There's restaurants over there as well. And,
Cleaners,
Can we get, you know those lights that will turn red when people need to cross?
like there is now on East Main Street.
Well, no, like, you know, like on a lot of these, like trails, you know, wooden trails where you cross a major road.
a blinking light.
A blinking, like, it's like blinking yellow until somebody's there that needs to cross the road. And then it turns red and the people can cross and the cars have to stop. Like, there's one on Montvale Avenue in Stoneham, I don't know if anybody's.
We can ask for anything that we wanna ask for. The question is, that is a state numbered highway, so I
Right.
don't know what that.
Like, I don't know
entails.
what's involved to get it.
I don't know what that entails as far as putting something like that in. John,
I just don't think it's realistic that people are gonna walk all the way around and make a big S like that to get, they're gonna
I would
cut
have
through.
preferred it too, Bob, but because of that culvert there, that stream.
There's room between where the
Yeah,
culvert is and the
that's-
entrance, where you could walk, where you can walk there.
Yeah.
Right. And I certainly, I recognize that culvert, you're absolutely right. When that
Means
thing
the time for
is
them to
blasting,
file
Yeah,
this.
it is.
it's really
It's a
something.
lot of water. It's like at least
So,
2 feet deep.
I'm just against, from my perspective, I don't see relocating it because I think, and this is just my, you know, I don't have a traffic study there or anything like that, and I'm not asking for one. I think the majority of the vehicles that pull in there, if you had a camera on it for a 48-hour period, the majority of those vehicles that pull in are pulling in and they're going to the left as they pull in the driveway. They're not going to the right.
That's anecdotal, and I
Well,
disagree.
And
I
again,
just don't-
admittedly, I'm just, when I go there, it's probably a tiny little sliver of time at a certain time. I don't know over a 24-hour period, 7 days a week, what it looks
Right,
like.
right, nobody does.
If it wasn't for the elevation there on the left, I would use it more, but it's not, it's flat. It's, you got up, and I see lots of times people are letting their car run into the drugstore. And then,
Yeah.
you know, it's not that safe over there for me.
I'll point out again, we did study this crosswalk,
Mhm.
and we, with the civil engineer, felt that this was a better solution, because we're already committed to doing a crosswalk here. We already had, this area designated, so from people walk here would do that, and it
I just
it
don't
made
see
it
it.
cleaner.
I just
It
don't
made
see
it cleaner.
people,
And
I mean, people are gonna be parking there and they're gonna cut across the parking lot. That's what they do. I don't think anybody's gonna say, oh, I'm gonna park here, but I'm gonna walk over here to get to this crosswalk to get,
Well, that's
12
where the three-
feet.
The 3D is going,
The
right?
3D crosswalk,
Is
right?
that-
Yeah,
that's going-
yeah,
Yes.
there's a 3D crosswalk there, and there's one right here.
And there's a door
And-
there.
And again, if we put it
Exactly.
here, we're going right through the middle of a row of
where there's an-
designated
where-
commercial parking.
where there's an entrance to the residential spot. People.
Well, there's an entrance, you can walk from here all the way around
And that's exactly what you're asking people to do.
Right.
To go shopping at Crosby's, which is
Right.
right across the street. And that's
Correct.
why I don't think they're gonna do it.
I mean,
I think
but
they're
you're
gonna-
saying you want to do
I
that
think,
instead
I
of
think
that.
that's what they're going to do. I think
and
that's exactly what people are going to do, whether there's a crosswalk there or not.
Well, and they make, right now they walk,
Right.
they might walk straight down the.
Right.
But we're giving them a
And-
more designated,
And
safer
we
spot.
definitely have to do that.
So,
My question is whether that's the most appropriate.
The
place.
optimum
Right.
thing.
Exactly.
and I tend to think, the chair mentioned, I do believe it's a little bit of a 6-to-1, half a dozen the other. It's hard to argue that one's significantly better than the other. My argument is that this is just, it's simpler and cleaner. And I feel, and again, in
On that
discussion
same
with
basis,
a
I
civil
don't-
engineer who designs this stuff we were agreed,
The part I like about it on the right is that, keep in mind, folks are still coming in and they're pulling in that driveway so that they can use the drive-through.
Right.
And so.
And that's where
as
they're
you
gonna
pointed
go.
out, there is a crosswalk that has to be designed there for those folks. You already need that one there.
Yeah, but I don't see,
You don't think people are
do you
gonna
wanna
use it?
draw the
I-
residents through there where there's the traffic to the drive-through?
And again, we're talking 10 residents,
But we're talking about the supermarket across the street.
What do we
We're
think,
talking-
guys? We have to give, it's
I-
9
I'm-
o'clock,
I'll
it's
go-
10 past
I'll
9.
I'll go with the majority, but that's
Well, we
my
don't know what the
position.
majority is what I'm
All
saying.
right,
We don't
fine.
even know. Bruce, left, right, where it is, or
Where they have it drawn is what I.
where they have it? Joanne,
I agree, because I always park on the left.
where it is?
You know where I
You know where you stand. Tilly? Where it's shown, or?
I think you've already, my expression, and I remember talking to you and was that your engineer with you?
Yeah, the
And
civil engineer.
And it was basically, the gentleman had walked over where the retention area is, or the culvert, rather, excuse me.
Right.
The culvert, he walked behind many bushes, and it was, you could even hear it running, that's how rapid.
Yeah, it was.
And he said it would be far better for it to be where they put it on the paper and the plan, on the other side.
Well, where
He
it
said there would be more involved because of the water. I mean, it's a,
I know, I understand that, it's just that
That's all.
nobody's gonna utilize that.
I think you're right. They're gonna go all directions.
If people are gonna ignore the crosswalk,
If
and
you
if
design-
they're gonna ignore it, they're gonna ignore it.
If you
All we
design-
can do
We
is.
could eliminate it
put
too.
If you design- if you
Yeah, you
design-
can't do that.
Yeah, just paint the whole thing black with a sign that says "at your own risk" or something.
If
but-
anybody gets hit there,
Oh.
That's not my position.
oh,
No, I'm just being facetious.
you guys, it's gonna be
Okay.
you guys.
Sounds like that stays where it is.
Okay, we're staying with.
John, what did you say,
We
sorry?
do need a Form H signed,
Until,
either September 30th or December 31st. Not that we would ever keep you here that long, but
September,
We'll be,
What's your
we'll be
pleasure?
back in September. Why don't we do September 30th? We'll be back if
yeah,
for
if
some
you need to
reason.
extend it
we have
further.
to-
would you like to
Extend again.
request that? Is that
Yes.
your request,
Yes.
September
Yes,
30th?
September
Is there a
30th,
motion?
please.
I move that we, accept an extension to, September 31st.
30th?
31st, no, 30th.
30th.
30th. 30 days of September.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Bob Watts, seconded by Joanne Lout. Any discussion? Form H to the 30th of September. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 5. Motion carries unanimously. I think you need to sign that, sir, once it's all done.
You betcha.
And at this point,
So if I could clarify, our homework is to work with John on conditions on both affordable housing, the fire access easement, connect with the Affordable Housing Trust to confirm that they're comfortable with the condition that we're putting together,
we can get a number.
get a number. And otherwise, the feedback I'm getting is leaving the plans alone as we've submitted them. and nothing else to do other than those two items, the draft decision and those two conditions.
So we,
And when the payment will be made, which.
Right, and I think that would be, the bylaw calls for prior to the issuance of a CO.
Yeah, the occupation,
Right.
right.
And this is
Yeah, you can throw it right in there. Yep.
back on the September 11th meeting. Is that what we agreed on?
Yeah.
is that the motion you're making, to continue the hearing until?
I'm
If-
just asking
is
a
that what I
question.
heard?
Did we not make a motion
Well,
yet?
If I may,
Oh, I'm sorry.
John, do you happen to know the next Affordable Housing Trust meeting?
Uh,
Because believe me, September 11th I would prefer, but if we need official feedback from them, which I wasn't aware that we needed, if September 25th makes more sense so that we have time to do that.
And
Continue talking, I'll pop that up on our
Okay.
screen
If
here.
you'll find it, if you find it.
Yeah.
It may or may not be,
Yes.
They don't post their meetings?
Right.
It should be on the.
They're all the groups.
Calendar.
when do you
post
wanna
them.
meet with them?
As soon as we can.
the,
I would touch base with them.
Yeah.
Maybe they could call a special
mean,
meeting.
I would touch base with them.
could this
and
not be
request that.
done, in email and it doesn't?
Well, not with the town board, no.
They have
They have to have a meeting to,
be,
if,
they have to have a meeting that gets voted on it?
if the planning board wants them to actually have taken that body take a position on this, rather than the planning board issue a condition, which you may do under the bylaw, if you want official feedback from the trust, then they have to hold a meeting.
See how far you can get.
Well, you had one last night,
Oh,
Bad timing.
so the next,
But
yeah, I'll show
So
you.
is it the second
make it
Tuesday
very
of every month,
clear that
maybe?
it's the planning board decision on whatever comes up.
They
If we
don't-
don't agree to it,
right.
it's our decision about the affordable housing process.
Yeah,
And
they
that's
don't,
sort
they
of-
don't have one scheduled, September yet.
And you know, that's the reason I was figuring we'll work with you on a condition rather than, reaching out for
Right.
their input, but
How about a
that's fine.
two-pronged approach? Work on the condition.
Yeah.
And as well as working on the condition, reach out to them. And you don't necessarily have to sit down with, the entire board. Sit down with a representative, one of the members of it,
Yeah.
that feels comfortable, coming up with some numbers and
Well,
solution.
I would
And
run
I
that
think-
through with
And
the
then he can-
chairman.
And at that point,
Yeah.
he could bring it to the chair, and that person can be here, and possibly we can get something from them.
Okay,
And either way, we'll be a little more knowledgeable.
okay, that works for me.
Work?
Are we in a position for a conditional approval with those conditions?
Tonight?
Let's see what the,
September- at the
yeah,
September
September meeting.
September meeting?
I hate the word conditional approval. I don't,
Forgotten
I'm good with the
Well,
fact that we
yeah,
have a
with
decision.
conditions?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
what we could be
exactly.
doing, yeah, what we could be doing, and if everything possibly flows for the 11th
Hmm?
meeting, we could have a draft
Right.
approval decision. in
That's
the
what I'm
packet.
hoping for.
Yeah, and then we could iron things out. once
That
and
works
for all.
really, really well.
Yeah.
So-
Keep in mind the
So I can
practice of.
report back so how does that work?
Keep-
You can report back that you've had significant progress, boss, and,
Yeah, no, I know.
you
But the
can pay
draft-
me, you can pay me for the hard work I've done so far, and
Yeah, they
Just so you know.
Believe me, I want that.
The practice of this board is not to close the hearing until we've actually looked at the decision and agreed to the decision and voted the decision.
But the comfort I think Mark is looking for, and I'll channel Mark, is that the board is giving the town planner direction to draft an approval decision.
I'll accept a motion now to have John draft a draft decision for approval of the special permit.
I make a motion to grant John Cashel the authority to create a draft decision on the 5565 Central Street CVS Plaza.
Motion made, second?
Second.
Seconded, motion made by Joanne. Second, motion made to ask John to create a draft decision for 5565 Central Street, seconded by Bruce Freed. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Sounds like everybody's all on board to create a draft decision. Doesn't look like there's too much contention here.
Excellent.
I think you can tell them
Just
that.
so the board knows that the owner was, he wanted to make sure he's hands-on. He did show up from New Jersey for our meeting and brought his grandson with him.
Our internal meeting that we had with
Yeah.
Mr.
Wow.
Cashel.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
So,
Nice.
you know, and he did give them carte blanche to do all these improvements and whatever it takes.
I think he
Make
made a
sure
wise
that-
decision.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, since he's kind of like MIA, I heard.
Didn't give you that idea, did he?
It was helpful running into you too.
Allow that, see, you gotta be on the right side of the table.
He was a very wise businessman. And put that to the
I'm
board.
glad to hear that.
And he wants to make sure this property is,
A-okay,
yeah, a pride-filled property for the town of
It could
Georgetown.
be, it could be quite a jewel,
Yeah.
quite a jewel.
Did he give you his cell phone number?
He just would like to not have to come back up, so.
Oh.
If he can help.
Did he feel the need to?
No,
come up?
he loves it up here, but, you know, he's down in New Jersey.
Where in New Jersey is it?
Where did he come from?
Do you,
I think it's North Jersey, not too
Yeah.
far from New York. I don't know the specific town.
I forgot what exit.
I wanna say
usually-
T.
Near the
Yeah.
President's
Which
Golf
exit?
Course?
The,
Trudy.
they
Trudy.
manage, they own and
Street.
manage multiple properties throughout New England,
I'll
so
bet.
they're up here
There's a
frequently.
lot of money in pharmacy.
Tell them just to live in
Actually,
New England,
around
a lot easier.
It was Tweed and Toyd Street, that's what they say.
Tweed Street?
Tweed. It's an old movie.
Okay, let's,
Okay, yeah.
how about,
We're having too much fun here.
Yeah.
Make a
I'll wrap
motion.
this thing up now.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue the 55 to 65 Central Street special permit to September 11th meeting.
is there
Second.
a second? Motion made and seconded, continue to see September 11th. Discussion? Ready, 1, 2, 3, go.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Hearing is hereby continued unanimously to September 11th. See you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Thank you, nice job.
Aye.
Okay, and we'll now deal with, okay, let's put this away. And that was continued to September 11th, right? That's a little bit
Yeah.
different from everything else we did
Seems
tonight.
to be
No,
the
no,
day.
Everything else we did was the 25th.
No, the 25th we did. Did a lot, the
We
25th.
wanna
That was the first
stretch our
carryover.
legs and take a break? We want a
The
5-minute break? We already have. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Oh, hi, hi, everybody, we're back, planning board, and, right now, next on the agenda is, an A&R plan. This is 6 through 8 Pillsbury Lane, map 10, lot 2, dividing one lot into two. Sir, would you, be so kind as to, introduce yourself for the record?
My name is James Ogden. I'm here representing Bonnie Silva.
And you have an A&R plan, and
A&R plan.
it's up on the big screen. And would you like to describe what's going on, please?
Basically, the Silva family for years has owned a property on Pillsbury Lane that had 2 existing single-family dwellings on it, number 6 and number 8. And they would like to separate their property in accordance with zoning so that each single-family dwelling is on its own lot.
And individually owned?
They're actually in common ownership at this time.
I didn't hear you, Jay. What?
They're in common ownership at this time, so. And the current lot line is this guy here? Yes.
And you wanna cut it in half.
Yes.
So this would give them the opportunity to.
To sell down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I know, I'm sorry, anybody have anything? One thing I saw that's a little bit different that I've never seen on an A&R plan is the general notes. That's usually on a site plan. It's very uncommon to see that. I presume that's because the driveway to be, that driveway up there, if we can
Yeah.
sort of pull up on it. And just to be clear, that proposed new lot line there, that seems to be sectioning off a little bit of what was an old driveway.
Yes.
And so I'm presuming that that's gonna be removed, is that what was mentioned? Somebody mentioned that?
It's an existing driveway. She presumably has the option to either remove it or grant an easement to the future owner of number 8 to use it.
So is it still a usable driveway?
Yeah, I mean, this is existing conditions, so that's where the pavement ends now. But as you can see, number 6 already has a paved drive on the other side.
The other side, that's the
Gotcha.
Since the
same.
family owned the entirety of the property, they didn't visualize a lot line.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really jog around it because of the setback off the existing deck
Mhm.
and the approximate location of the septic system, so that's where the line had to go. The line did get it jogged around the existing tree, so that the tree would stay with number 8.
Mhm.
And like I said, there's no immediate plans, as far as I know, to sell either property. I think she lives in number 6 and her mother lives in number 8. So they'll essentially be in common ownership for some number of years to come.
Perhaps to put it in a trust or something to that effect, or something like that, maybe. I had one question, if,
I have a
oh,
few
go ahead, sir. No, go ahead,
You,
please.
you know, you applied for a revision on an A&R plan. Or did you apply for a revision on a subdivision plan?
This application was just an A&R.
I know, but when you applied for it, you gave us an A&R, I'm assuming, an A&R backup? Did you give us any doctrine, or did John, did you search
I
that?
probably submitted the current deed and the previous plan.
Well, what I found out is that there was
Previous one.
several activities on this property. And if you, there's a list of, on your plan, there's a list of books and pages.
Yes.
What is there, around 10 of them?
The plan references?
And so, there's an easement on there, one of these, which I tried to read what it was. I think it was,
It's a 30 by 30 drainage easement.
that was book 214, plan 40. There's a 1984 subdivision plan, which had the lots at 40,000 square feet
On this plan reference list, right?
on this property. You
Well-
see one of these here? Plan Book 97, Plan 194.
Yeah, those numbers are actually transposed. It's supposed to be Plan Book 194, Plan 97,
All right.
which
So
is
then-
for Pillsbury Lane Extension.
Which one is it?
No,
Just-
this,
just so we
this
can
is a
call it out.
1984 subdivision plan. And it had this name on it, on the lot. It wasn't further back, it was these. And then it had a variance on it from the town. So I could not locate what the variance said. I could not get any backup for the subdivision. So this property has been, through the years, very active.
So
And
194, Plan 97 is a recorded 3-sheet set, which created lots next door to this and across the street from it. And it's listed as a plan reference because the surveyor used that data to tie in and corroborate
Well,
everything.
let me see what this property is, because I couldn't get any other backup on it.
This property is as shown on the plan. I don't understand.
I don't either. That's why this is very confusing to me. You know, you asked for a revision on an A&R plan.
No, she's simply asking to take a 60,000 square foot lot and cut it in half.
I know what she asked, but she probably didn't understand what she had originally there. You asked
If you
for,
flip to the back page of that, you'll
Okay.
see the last recorded plan for this property on the back side of that sheet. If you don't mind, if you come around and take a peek with you.
Oh, I think
Turn that page
he's
over.
talking about the back,
Yep.
the very back.
yeah,
That's signed by
That's,
Fred
that's
Drew.
existing today.
That's
Yes.
where we added it,
But what
right?
you have,
but take a look at this for
That's
just
what
a
we
second.
added
This is
in.
from 1985.
yeah,
Her lot hasn't changed since 1985.
yeah, but there was a subdivision on 1984. And this property was in that subdivision.
The property was not a portion of the subdivision, it was abutting the subdivision.
Can I help?
Sure.
Go for it.
Right, okay. So
Clear it up.
this old plan here.
Yep.
that
Yeah.
was included
74.
with- Yeah.
That's
So-
what he says is here today.
Yeah, right, so the total frontage, as it's represented in this new plan, in the old plan, it was 420.26 feet.
Yeah,
In this plan, it's coming out at 420.25.
Okay, that's pretty close.
Yeah,
Pretty
very
close.
close, very
Yeah.
close, very close.
sure.
We're talking specs.
One
of
one-hundredth
inches.
of a foot.
Yeah. So of that 420.25 as represented in this plan, the new lot 2, which is designated 2 now, would be 170.25 feet of frontage.
Bless you.
And then the other one would be
God bless.
250 feet total frontage. The discrepancy relative to the 250 feet that was represented in the first plan.
John, one second, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm looking at one plan, and that's a different plan.
This is a different plan.
What is that
because-
plan?
This plan is different as of this evening because of the questions that were imposed or posed to the applicant
Okay,
representative leading up to tonight's meeting. So there was a recalculation of the survey having to do with this square block here. See this square block? That's now 30 feet.
30 by 30,
In your plan,
right?
what does it say?
It was
30 by 28.11 on one dimension and.
Yeah.
Okay,
The recorded easement was always 30 by 30.
okay.
It was just misplaced on the original Mylar against the next property line, which is 1.89 feet over.
Gotcha, okay.
Because it's a 30 by 30 easement that Silva granted to the town.
And only
can't-
Silva had the right to grant it from her property, not from the next door neighbor's property.
And when it was plugged on, in a sense, it's irrelevant to the A and R, so it's shown on the plan, he just tagged it to the wrong property line.
Gotcha,
So the 220, he knew he had 250 feet of frontage, 30 feet of, is an easement, so he labeled the remaining frontage 220. And then you pointed out that.
that was
you-
missing a foot and a
You
half.
stuck 1.86 feet off the end of the.
Some of the frontage went over
Yeah.
the line.
His note that says 250 feet total frontage.
Right.
Is on both versions of the Mylar, and that's accurate. And you can calculate that back to the deed.
Now it does work.
Yeah, so
200
no lot
the-
areas, no lot lines or anything changed between the
Right,
two
okay,
Mylars.
good.
The easement was basically moved to the correct position,
Is this the new one?
and the labeling was corrected to reflect that.
Okay, so there is a calculated, measured 250 feet
Yes.
of frontage there. And in any other
Lot 2A.
district, that probably wouldn't matter. You only need 125 in this district, because this is RA. But the 125, so if the person wanted to further subdivide, again, with another A&R down the road, the difference between having 250 versus 148 and change is huge. So, I'm satisfied. And John, you've looked at these plans?
Yeah,
This
I'm
plan-
just wondering, do you have a Mylar for this revised one?
Yes.
Great.
So, right now, Jay, look me in the eye, you're certifying that the only change on this plan is that is the change. That
Yes.
one change right there.
Yep.
And what about this error here down on the plan book that you pointed out? Was that corrected? Plan book
Honestly,
79 versus?
we corrected it on, it's shown in a reference on the, I guess, the right side of your plan. On map 10, lot 1D, 15 Pillsbury Lane references that plan. That's actually where I read it and where I corrected it, and I forgot that it
1D
was.
Up here?
Yes,
Gotcha.
yep, plan book 194,
140,
plan 197.
Gotcha.
When it made it to the list, it got
got
transposed, and I didn't catch both of them.
I'm good with it now.
Yeah, and then, what was the
I'm
other?
good with it now.
I mean, I send probably 10 emails a week to the Registry of Deeds correcting plan references and title references,
Scrivener's out.
so, yeah.
Well, it would have helped if we had some more backup. I was doing the same thing. Because when I saw this, what is that variance then if you did all that work?
I think the variance was to create the map 10 lot 3 parcel behind it from the 1985 subdivision plan.
Seaberg?
Well, then
Yeah.
why do you have it here?
As a
Listen,
plan reference?
why do you have it if it doesn't apply to this property?
It's a recorded plan that abuts this property, so he just compiles a plan reference list of plans that he.
That isn't how the, I don't know
I'm not a
what.
surveyor, so.
No, the special permit had to come from the ZBA,
Sure.
and all they sent was
I,
variance granted, and it didn't give any explanation, no
I-
backup.
do you know which one of these plans references the,
Yeah, I do, because I wrote it down. Hold on a second.
number 3 Pillsbury Lane used to be a lot that had no street frontage. And they jogged that lot line in 1985 to give them 75 feet of street frontage. And I can only assume that's what the variance is for, because it's non-conforming.
What did you assume it was for?
3 Pillsbury Lane.
It's
To
3
be able
Pillsbury
to
Lane,
be able to build the building on
This one
3.
right here.
the property that's behind it.
Why would they grant a variance to build a,
The house is there. The house is already there. It had access across an easement.
well, they did this in 1961
Okay. So maybe
by
it's a different.
Stanley, I
Maybe it's
couldn't
a different
pronounce,
easement.
Konovidzny,
61, that's a long time ago.
and that was,
It's older than me, too.
Oh, how far is Dean's?
book 4155, page 92, 1.52 acres.
And that's all about lot 10, map 10, excuse me, lot 3. So that's a
Okay.
that's a variance on another parcel.
With that information, if you're saying it's 1.52 acres,
Yeah,
my next best guess would be that was a variance to allow the second single-family dwelling to be built on what's,
The silver
was
property.
the silver
Yeah.
property. Because in 1954, the silver property was 1.52 acres. The Seaberg property behind them was 1.92 acres with no access.
behind them was unknown property on one side of this
Well,
property. and then Seaburg.
Can I show you this?
Well, now you're
Sure.
going way back. Now you're going much
Well,
further.
Yeah, the unknown,
Look at
the unknown
this.
property is still there.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
you're going much, much further.
This
Yeah,
is
no
all
This is
problem.
what Silva's property used to look like,
Yeah, I have that.
and this is what Seaburg's property used to look like. So this is 1.52 acres, this is 1.92 acres, and the unknown area is back here. If we compare these two, you'll see that this outline matches this outline.
Mhm.
They just created this lot line instead of this straight line, so that Seaburg's actually had some access to Pillsbury Lane.
Ah.
That's what I assume the variance is for, but if the variance is earlier, it's probably to build the second dwelling that wasn't there in 54.
Yeah, but variances run with the land. You can't take that away.
And nobody is here in this case, if that's the situation. If that's the situation, no one is taking it away.
It's not there.
We're
Right.
actually eliminating the need for the variance.
It's a whole, yeah, but it's still, it runs with the land. You didn't, never can take it off.
But it's still in existence.
So, yeah, they won't get rid of it, they'll just not need it.
Right.
Because now they have something that conforms to zoning, which sidesteps the need for the
So-
variance.
So, you didn't find the reason for the variance, you're just assuming that's it.
It sounds like it was overridden.
No. I'm sure this is, all the activity on these parcels, I'm sure there's gonna be another session that we're gonna have to look at this again.
So the only thing that's really wrong here, okay, and what are you gonna do about it, is the driveway that overlaps, so it's
Yeah.
encroaching on a side setback.
As far as I know, there isn't a setback regulation to the driveway, but that's sort of a question for the building
So
inspector.
you're gonna,
Yeah, there
gonna
is.
grant an easement.
Maybe they will.
She could grant an easement to herself, but I don't think she can. So she
No.
can grant an easement to a future property owner?
Future property
When
owner,
that
yeah.
when that time comes, or she
Merger
can,
of interest if
we
you
can
can't
cut
grant
it
yourself.
and-
Some towns do have setbacks
But-
for driveways.
The driveways? Really? Interesting.
NH does.
Really?
You can't grant an easement once the property is split to the other piece of property.
She still
Yourself.
owns it.
You can't
She
grant
still
an
owns
easement
both
to
sides.
yourself if you own two parcels.
Next to each
It's
other.
called a merger of interests.
It's a very important point.
It
to
is.
understand.
Oh,
Driveways
absolutely, as
are.
far as easements are concerned,
That's
yeah.
why I asked.
It's like
Yeah,
a
you-
conflict of interest, basically.
Okay.
So what are you
Yeah.
suggesting, that we deny it and then he come in with an easement?
No, I'm not suggesting that either. It's, you know, it meets the minimum lot size, it meets the minimum frontage, all the structures, meet the setbacks, which is unusual in a case like this.
And
Usually they have a
and
note,
even if
will
they
be
didn't-
raised.
even if they didn't, there's a blurb up here, no determination of compliance with all zoning requirements
Yeah, we need that
has
on
been
there.
made.
Yeah.
And that is on this plan? Can I see that on the one that we're gonna be asked to sign? Is that correct? This is the version
Yeah,
we're being
it's-
asked to sign?
It's, I certify that all information shown here is.
That's up there, over there, right?
Hold on.
Okay, I see it.
to it.
I see it. I
Where
see
is
it,
it?
John. Pull down. No,
Come on.
Getting there. No determination of compliance with all zoning requirements has been made.
That's a really good statement to have on every plan, which is usually on
Absolutely,
every plan.
especially this
Oh, yeah.
one.
One of the three out of that court case that the judge came down with.
So this would come back to us again in the future if one of the houses gets
Oh, yeah.
sold. and-
For, to grant an
Or,
easement.
or to further subdivide.
But we're not there yet.
You guys actually don't even
Lot
need
two
We
to,
don't need to do anything for an
Yeah.
easement.
no,
It could come back as a further subdivision of, proposed lot 2A, too.
yeah, she could theoretically split the existing metal garage off on its own lot if she wanted to.
So she's never
Which is why
did a
that's
title
why I was
search
concerned about the two fifty.
on our property.
That's why I was concerned about the two fifty.
I don't know.
That's what I think would be required.
What's that, Tilly?
She's never done a title search on this because this property is way too active not to have a title search, in my opinion.
And the other thing is that we do know from previous action of this particular year and last year, is that we only have 21 days to take final action.
That's right.
No agreement that can be had of extending, even if both parties agree to it.
This is an A and R.
Yep.
Okay, so,
He did file this with the town clerk.
Oh, I was gonna point out that I came in early July for her to submit this. And
But you didn't show up, it was Holt that
No,
came.
he was so kind
Well, no,
that he
I very
put off on
willingly
submission.
You held off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because you guys didn't have a second
Thank you,
meeting
Jeff.
scheduled.
Thank you.
And it would have been, hey,
Appreciate
submit
that.
this, you guys would have to meet
Yeah.
to sign
We'd
this.
have to get together. And
Or,
I think
He
when
was
we
so
were,
kind not
when
to.
we were talking about the July meeting, not having a second meeting in July, I said, I hope we don't get an A and R.
yeah.
Ah,
You must have heard me.
And I had no idea this would be
Yeah, coming to your,
ready for then.
Yeah.
but-
We gotta really watch that, don't we?
absolutely.
Some
Yeah, we
boards
really have
allow
to
for
watch.
the chairman to sign off on
yeah,
A&R.
Right.
plans.
then it'd be your head.
That's
It
when,
wouldn't
that's
be
when all the
our
hanky
fault.
Uh-uh, kids.
No.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, yeah.
That ain't happening with this shit. Believe me. Many boards wanna give me the authority to sign stuff, I don't do it.
Yeah.
Where are we here, folks? Does someone wanna make a motion to endorse, or do you have language, John? Do you already have
Yes,
language?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, Tony, go ahead, my
yeah, the
apologies.
thing that I questioned right at the beginning was, he's asking for a revision to a subdivision plan. And this is not, an A&R is not a subdivision plan. This is not a subdivision plan.
Tilly, that's the nineteen forty-seven plan, nineteen
I
sixty.
know, but where is the
That's a long
application
time
on
ago.
here?
Um,
It says that.
here's the
again,
application right here.
And he repeated it as a subdivision, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm looking at the Form A,
Yeah.
application for endorsement of a plan believed not to require approval. This is the actual application. I think John wrote up and
Yeah,
may have
the-
used,
It's a draft motion, and the only thing you need to change is, there is a revision date now, and it's 8/14/19, whoever makes that motion.
8/14.
19,
Oh,
and that's
today?
inscribed on the plan that this board will sign if it so chooses to, through an approval motion.
if someone wants to make that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve, to endorse the A&R plan for Bobby Silva at 6/8 Pillsbury Lane.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to endorse the A and R plan of lots, map 10, parcel 2, number 6 and 8, Pillsbury Lane, prepared by William Holt, PLS, 83 West Main Street, Merrimack, and dated with the revision of 8/14/19. All in, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Grab a pen, kid. Grab a pen.
Does anybody wanna sign this now, or hold off?
Well, might as well, go ahead. You have it? You waited all night, you should at least you should be able to walk out with it. That's why you waited all night, right? So you could walk out with it?
I gotta run to the registry in the morning and record it.
Quick,
Very
Before
quick.
we change our mind?
hurry, quick.
Start.
Here we go.
Here we go. If everybody wants to sign that.
There's actually a nice publication by the state
Bruce,
called,
Joanne,
In
is your
our handbook?
signature
Mhm.
on record? at the
Absolutely.
South
It's an
Registry?
excellent
Oh,
publication.
yeah. But it-
I don't know. I don't think I ever did anything. Do I have to actually physically go there?
No, we just
Yeah.
have to, record your
Yeah,
signature.
yeah,
In the
and
book,
Bruce's,
In the book, right, here?
and Bruce's.
Yeah, so 3 signatures.
Yep,
I recorded my signature and my initials when I got sworn in.
Yeah, that was sworn in.
Okay.
But we have to, it's another form that has to be recorded. at the
Okay.
registry.
this goes directly to the registry of
So
deeds.
do we not sign it?
No, you and Joan don't have to sign it. We'll have to take care of that housekeeping for
Okay.
next meeting.
Yep,
I've only
definitely.
seen
They've
that,
got my signature at
I've only
the
seen
registry,
them pull that out
registry of
once.
deeds about 50
at the
times.
registry.
This is to say that,
To
you
verify
know, you can
signature.
sign for this.
For the planning
It's the
board.
official.
Yes.
Already, but
And I
they
thought
don't
you
have
did
a
it.
record.
I don't remember.
You did do it. I
Okay.
know for a fact you did
The
it,
guy actually that I know.
You would
at the
think I
registry
would
actually
have.
came
I know
up
you
to her
did.
and was like,
All right.
because I remember I was sitting next to you.
Want me to not worry about it?
I was like signing, like, I don't sign, all right,
So I
I'll sign
signed the
it.
Mylars over there, so we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
John,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Joanne's already has hers sent. I seem to remember doing that. We
Yeah,
already did that.
Andrea could have done that
Yeah,
as one of the
but,
documents.
yeah, yeah.
Just let me know when I need to stop in.
You know, I'm just being cautious about it because,
As long
you know,
as,
we don't, I'm picking it up, and rather than having some crazy flaw on the plan,
Yep.
that somebody might pick up on it, doubt it.
Is that
It's
the-
obscure.
As long as you have the other ones, I think you'll be all
Nope,
right.
yeah, anyway,
Is that the only, signature?
yes.
Well, how about the ones on the table there?
Yeah,
though?
did you get
No,
the
that's
four
other
fountain?
stuff that
Yeah.
we'll get to later.
Oh, we already started.
And all these sheets need to be signed, right?
No, just the Mylar.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Do you want me to leave a few?
Leave the
Copies
paper
of-
copies, yeah.
Okay, do you mind if I take one?
Do you have enough signatures?
Yep.
Okay, you're all set.
No.
We're all set.
How many do
only
we have?
Tilly and I
Only
can
two?
sign
Oh, two?
Harry, and that'll be it. Excuse me, Chuck. So with an A and R plan, you only need three,
Three.
that's the majority. Site plan's the same thing, special permits you need, at least four.
And today's date is
14.
14th.
1419.
I wrote
Good enough.
8, 14, 15. Today I'm like, no, it's not 2015.
Look at that.
I just signed 14, 15.
Wait, how much money could you make if you went back, if you could go back to?
The stars aligned.
Something happened, huh?
Mhm.
Knowing what you know today.
Okay.
Prove it again.
Thank you, sir, for your patience.
Thank you.
This is Altabana, if you wanna sign this one now, or just continue on with our business.
Okay, that's the 68 Tenny Street?
Yeah.
Might as well get it out of the way. That's what we
All right, now,
talked
I'm gonna
about,
ask
right?
you guys to sign this one.
That goes to the town clerk,
I
not to the
just needs
registry.
my signature on record here, yeah.
Just gonna get you a stamp.
The town knows you.
They do, they certainly do.
Maybe one of those rings, you just dip it in the wax. and-
Okay.
That's kinda old fashioned. Thank you, sir. Oh,
There's the bank.
oh, okay.
This is the one I'm taking with me. Okay. I signed one of the other ones.
Here you go, sir.
Okay, so where are we? Okay. John?
Yep.
Wanna touch base to us on Palmer Lane?
Yes.
Well, there's two issues around Palmer Lane. The first seems to be a review for street acceptance.
Yes.
I
and
think I
that-
saw something in the selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, on Monday night, and there is a handout that explains, the official action of the Board of Selectmen, which is the.
They're asking us,
Yes.
okay. And Jim, maybe you just wanna explain how that process all works?
Yeah,
The
so.
selectmen,
Yeah, so the selectmen have asked us formally to do our review so that we can recommend to them for street acceptance or not of Palmer Lane. Palmer Lane has gone through, okay, yeah, has gone through the entire process of completion. As-built plans have been accepted by the board. There is now a maintenance bond in place. That's what we already voted to reduce the surety amount. So tonight's action on that, which we haven't completed, is to sign the invoice that allows for the surety reduction to the maintenance level. That's held by the town for a period of 1 year. So from tonight's date, next year, they can ask for all the money back. If there's any maintenance issues that need to be fixed, we have that maintenance bond in place, and we can use that money. DPW can use it to make any repairs. Usually, we ask the developer to make the repairs. And, once that is okay by Peter, for instance, and gives that in writing, then we can give them all the maintenance bond back, as long as everything's fine. If he refuses, the developer refuses to do it, then we have the money to do it, and, we sign off on it completely next year. But for our purposes right now is to make sure all the paperwork that John Eichman, our town council, needs is delivered by me per board action to have, so that the next meeting we have, and I'd say the 25th would be most appropriate for Eichman to review all the documents I'll send him, and for him to give a recommendation to this board to take action favorably recommending street acceptance by the Board of Selectmen, and therefore to put it on the town warrant in the fall. So,
Why did Mr. Francione go to the selectmen? Why didn't he come to you?
because it's a
That's
formal
the
process.
appropriate way.
Yeah, if
That's exactly
somebody wants a
appropriate.
street accepted as a public way, they have to first ask them Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen has to defer to us for a recommendation. So, and he did that on Monday night, this past Monday night.
The Board of Selectmen may very well have not referred that to us,
Right.
in which case.
We don't have the authority.
Right,
Well, they have to
Unless
put it
asked.
on the warrant to vote for it, but I didn't think,
but in order for town meeting to vote on it, we,
It has
as
to
a
go through
planning
us.
board, must give report.
so Palmer Lane was not on the list that we submitted to the selectmen?
No, because it wasn't ready.
Oh,
It wasn't ready until now. And, you know,
Okay.
like most developers, they wanna, if they're eligible for the road to become publicly accepted, you know, they wanna do it as quickly as possible so they don't have to plow it.
They're not responsible for it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that is the road acceptance portion.
Yeah.
And now there was a separate issue, which was under the vouchers,
Yeah, the vouchers.
separate.
Yeah,
That-
the board already voted for that
The
surety
reduction.
amount, reduction.
To 4,000.
And the board, you know, the second part of that, the board has to sign off on the,
Right. Do we have that form? Because the form I saw in our packet said 0.
yeah,
Yeah.
mine too.
Like the bill, it said
Yeah.
0,
That's
The
actually a
total
warrant.
was
It's
0.
Right,
actually
right.
a warrant payable.
yeah,
The warrant payable form says 0.
really?
yeah,
Really? Yeah.
yeah,
I saw that too.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you
Um,
had, I gave you all mine, so it's with you.
here.
You deleted it.
Here,
Okay, there's an example right there, right?
That's it.
Oh, look at that. You guys signed it.
That was
well, because we accidentally signed it.
yeah.
He was holding it hostage.
Oh, well, they're blaming you, huh, Mom?
Let me handwrite.
What?
I'll correct that.
It's getting late, we've gotta.
Yeah, it really is.
Threw you under the
Yeah,
bus,
correct
is that what you're worried about?
John, just a real quick question. The monies, and I wasn't, I don't know if you guys were involved.
I was willing to pay nothing for that.
That's what I approved.
So
was a free
that was in the M account, and that was done not under a tripartite bond, but by a cash bond?
Yeah,
A cash?
Yep.
Okay. And that went into the M account?
yep.
That was, I know the last
We might-
amount, which was, what, 10,000?
Yeah, maybe we wanna talk about that at some other time.
Yeah, right, I
You know,
think so,
as a ministerial type of thing
yeah.
with Mary. You know, just to make sure, I mean, I know Mary is, Mary will put the monies in whatever number account we specify. So we might wanna take a peek at that. But, moving along, East Main Street Recreation Park, review and endorse the minor modification decision. Do we have that, Joe?
I think
Yeah.
that's what they were doing.
Well, we already voted on it though.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have to
we
sign.
voted on it, but
Tonight's
we
is
didn't
the
sign
pen
the
thing.
draft.
Pen
in
night.
the-
Did you bring an extra pen?
Was the decision in there?
Yeah, findings of fact.
Okay, no, not for Cultivana, but, the recreation one?
Right.
Okay, so the original was in that green book? The original decision, the certificate of approval?
Let's see here.
I'll have to-
Yes, Cultivana,
That's Cultivani, he's
That's
talking about,
Cultivana. and this
Park
is
and Rec.
CVS Plaza, Form H extension, 554 North,
That's it.
Staples. These are,
I'm gonna go run downstairs and then,
no, I'm not seeing it, John.
I'm gonna print that hard copy out, all right?
Okay.
With signature. And the other one is, 4 Carlton Drive.
That's the,
That's-
Quonset hut.
Yeah, that's all been signed. I have
Yeah,
the
'cause
plan-
That's all been
I
signed.
have the
But
plans.
we need to sign the Mylars, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get on that.
Which
while
we did,
you're-
didn't we sign them?
Well,
I
we
think some
started,
of us
so
did, yeah.
did you get a chance to sign the
There were
Mylars?
not there yet.
Okay.
Just three copies.
Should be, all
Illegitimate,
good, good.
because I'm not on record
Perfect.
for registry.
Well, at least you conclude you signed it.
That's it.
Okay. Well, why don't we take a 5-minute break while, What we do with that?
That's,
Tenny Street, Tenny Street,
that's
Tenny Street.
Cultivana, the
The-
Mylars.
Oh, those Mylars need signatures too?
Yeah.
Okay, then why don't we lay them out here and we can all go at it while you're doing a print up for East Main Street?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okey-dokey.
And we just need to sign sheet one, or all of them?
These ones, yeah, I would sign all these sheets, these Mylars, okay?
Cool. Those are Mylars?
John, again,
Yeah.
I'm not signing it, right?
This one you will,
This is all confusing.
yeah, it is.
Special permit, we need it.
Right.
As long as it's confusing, we know we've done our job. Government employees.
I'll be right back.
Here.
There you go, pal.
I think there's more than one that went there, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Oh, there's 6 of those? 4 or 6?
6?
Not getting in on this one?
No, I'm gonna wait here. And then when you're done.
You don't want the crowd?
Yeah. I can loiter over here just as well as I can loiter over there.
He's gonna dream about crosswalks tonight.
One,
Wanna take a short break, guys? We'll take a short
Two.
break.
3, 4, 5, hang
We're gonna take 5
No,
minutes.
4. I don't know, I'm sure I counted.
And we're back,
We don't wanna slow you down.
and we're back.
You slow you down.
And, we've signed 199 things. And, now, we've endorsed the Mylars. Okay, so now comes the time. First thing, John,
Yep.
I had if I can add this, if you'll put up with me, if I could add this. Had a discussion with, Paul Nelson from the Affordable Housing Trust.
Yep.
And, many years ago, when we did Turning Leaf, we noticed that there was that the inclusionary housing bylaw was less than clear and less than workable in some cases. The bottom line of it is, he was interested in knowing, and I believe we should, make some modifications to that regulation, that bylaw. And I would like to ask the board to instruct John to make a notice for a hearing, a public notice of her hearing, to amend the inclusionary housing bylaw, if you'll so grant that. What I'm asking for is John will make a public notice, he'll put it in the newspaper, so that we can look at it and open a public hearing for amending the inclusionary housing bylaw.
And we have total, like, we make the final decision and put into action the changes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, sure. But
With
it
the
has,
bu- the
through a
changes-
public hearing.
Public hearing,
Public hearing,
But-
we take input, because people may, you'll
right,
hear
right,
from the
right.
trust.
But it doesn't have to go to town meeting or.
No, that's a bylaw, that will
It
have to go to
does.
town meeting.
Yeah.
Or does,
Oh,
okay.
yes, that's the only way to change that, yes,
Okay, gotcha.
absolutely.
So put it together to bring it to town meeting.
And that's, I mean, really why we're gonna do our due diligence, the due diligence.
It's not a great number of changes, it's just that there's some clarification has to be made.
To make
for
it clearer.
Specific things.
Yeah.
Especially with rentals, and it's not gonna affect what's out there now, because now they have grandfather, because they're in.
Their formula.
They're in, but in the future, if people aren't as cooperative as the folks we have in front of us right now, there could be issues.
Right.
And, a lot of these.
That you have the power over.
We
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
did a lot of background work on this, but it just never made it to town meeting. We never held the hearing, and that was just how it was.
Is he gonna make some suggestions himself?
Absolutely, I believe he's going to.
Well, that would be a good
Yeah,
Sure,
they'll be
he
very
and-
valuable because
he and the trust
he
will be.
understands it quite well. Yeah.
Absolutely, he's the resident expert. Is there a motion for that? Someone may make a motion for that?
I move we request that John, schedule a public hearing,
Post a poll, you know.
post a public hearing for the purpose of reviewing the,
Inclusionary housing bylaw.
inclusionary housing bylaw.
This, motion's been made,
Second.
seconded by Joanne. So, John,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah, do we want any particular date or?
ASAP, so that maybe we can get it in before town meeting?
Yeah, okay, so I
Maybe.
mean, and we don't even know
You
what the
figure
town
numbers.
meeting is.
You figured the numbers out.
But now, you
probably
guys already
October.
have the changes that are proposed?
Some of them have been made, but naturally, we're gonna have to look at it.
Yeah.
The main thing is, at this point, notice in the paper, the whole rigmarole, 2 weeks in the paper and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Posting,
Mhm.
and we can open the hearing, we look at it. If it seems too complicated, we can, wait and see we'll see what the timing is for fall town meeting. If it's too complicated, we'll just
Yeah.
put it off, and as long as you have an open hearing, you can continue it right to spring. It'll be a good start, and we'll have all winter if it doesn't make it to fall town meeting. But it's something that's to be
And the
done.
other thing is, I don't know if we're gonna get the word that they don't wanna deal with any zoning amendments for the fall. That's-
Maybe,
that's
maybe
the
so,
typical,
maybe no.
you know,
See what happens.
so. I'm just
All-
looking for
all in
something
favor?
along talking
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
I'm just looking for something real quick
Okay.
before we adjourn. It has to do with that, Palmer Lane. And there are other things on the agenda still too, right?
I just wanted to
Yes.
bring up one other thing. I'd also like to ask that we do we talk about courts and lanes. We've been talking about courts and lanes for the last 2 meetings. We ran out of time. We run out of time tonight. I think it would behoove us to open a regulatory hearing that would not have to go to town meeting. Same notice requirements, everything. And instruct John to make notice of the hearing to amend the 365 subdivision regulations for courts and lanes.
I make a motion for John to schedule a open meeting, hearing, to discuss, 365?
To amend 365.
65 courts and lanes definitions.
A second.
Well, not just the definitions, but
What it's classified as.
courts and lanes. John knows the numbers.
Yep.
You
So
get- you
we're-
understand what
so,
I'm saying,
yeah,
right?
so we're gonna, have a public hearing relative to amending the existing language having to do with zoning or subdivision.
The subdivision.
Just subdivision.
We can't do zoning, but that has to go to town meeting.
Right. No, but,
The hearing has to have.
yeah, if we were gonna do a hearing for a zoning amendment,
Yeah.
yeah,
That would be a different hearing, yeah. This is just this is just our end.
Yeah.
Just subdivision regulations under chapter 365,
Mm-hmm.
not under chapter 165.
got it,
Everybody's good with that, right? We're just changing our,
yeah.
the way it stands right now, courts and lanes. are
What we're
special-
using.
Under what we're using, exactly, yeah. What else are we missing? What am I missing, John? I'm
We
sorry
didn't
to
vote
hold
on
you
that,
up
did
like
we?
that. Oh, I'm sorry. Motion was made, motion was seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Good catch, thank you. It's getting late. I'm ready to nap.
Do we need to do anything regarding the public street acceptance?
Street acceptance for Palmer Lane?
No.
No, we did
Not
that
at this
already.
point.
We just did
We've
it,
been
right?
notified
Okay.
Yeah.
that we're having it. John, do we need to hold a public hearing for that?
For,
Is that a public hearing? For street acceptance? Or do?
No.
No.
Because they don't have any say in the matter, right?
No, we already had our meeting relative to accepting the as-built plan.
Right.
Yeah, what I have to do is just compile all the official documentation, send it off to Eichmann,
Okay.
and get his A-okay of what we need or don't need.
Okay, so that's all ministerial, that's all I got.
Yeah, so it just has to be on an agenda
Okay.
relative to this board taking formal action to send back to the Board of Selectmen, recommending street acceptance. I'm gonna, we have the 3 signatures here.
Yep.
Which is sufficient. I'm gonna make that change to what the amount is.
The amount that it needs
Yeah,
to be,
yeah.
so that 4,100 and something is remaining.
Yeah,
Which is the amount that, that amount
we
has to.
voted on.
That stays for a year
Yeah.
after town meeting accepts.
yeah.
So after town meeting accepts, for 1 year, the town holds that. And John explained it.
Yeah, let me find my
Providing
agenda
they get all
here.
the paperwork clear.
Right.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
And then
absolutely.
it stays there until.
Right.
It's like a retainer.
Yeah, that's it.
We
It's
need to
like an
sign
escrow
the,
surety.
Escrow, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we
I'm sorry, what do we need to sign,
signed
John?
everything, I
Did you
thought.
sign the recreation decision, the one I came up with?
In the green,
Yeah.
You did that already?
in the green.
Okay. Courts and lanes, we did that. We're all done.
I have a question though. What are these handouts? There's one Palmer Lane.
Yeah, good idea, good idea. All of our amendments, Springtown meeting, were officially accepted.
It's because we do things the right way.
Yep, the Attorney General has signed off on all of them.
That's
Throw
what
more
we do,
in.
that's how we roll.
We did all the work right.
We did it all right.
That's right.
Now,
That's
are we
right.
gonna have a discussion about the Tolman issue or not?
Oh, yes, that's the last thing, right? Yes, because the very first thing that was on the agenda for tonight was an executive session for Pingree Ave. John, you wanna
Yeah.
explain what's
Okay,
going on?
When we first talked about having an executive session and having town council here for this particular issue, it was thought at that point in time we needed an executive session, but we're not part and parcel, we're not part of the suit, the planning board.
Gotcha.
So, Attorney Eichmann this week advised that it would be best, this is a little different than you and I conversing. Just by the way, the chairman and staff complete the agenda. That's the official position of the chairman. When there's a question of what's on the agenda or whatever, I go over that, and we went over this. His advice at this point in time is for this planning board to consider holding a joint executive session with the Board of Selectmen for their September 9th
Can I pause you for a
meeting.
second?
Mhm.
We're still, do you wanna be on the air?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
Okay.
is
yeah.
public, this is
Oh,
all public.
okay,
Yep.
okay, there.
Okay, so
Good,
if,
good, you're right there, you're right there.
Yeah.
You're doing right.
She's watching.
Yep, yep, I love it.
but for the 5 members of the board, you know, this is for you to decide this evening, if you can. If you're available and want to meet in executive session with the Board of Selectmen relative to the Tolman versus the Board of Selectmen land court matter, that's most preferable if you can. Otherwise, Attorney Eichmann would like the board to consider having a special meeting just to handle this particular issue in a public forum. Because we're not part of the litigation, but he just wants our input relative to the acceptance of possible acceptance of Pingree Road and, you know, what construction standards the board, you know, would like to advise relative to this litigation that's going on. So the preference is to have the board join in a joint executive session with the Board of Selectmen. That's on September 9th, and that would start at 7 PM. And 2 days before our next meeting. Otherwise, to have a special meeting between now and then.
What's the purpose out of meeting with the selectmen?
Uh,
That Eichmann wants to come
just,
from
you know,
that meeting?
kill 2 birds with 1 stone, basically, is, you know, we would be there as a planning board in an advisory role to the Board of Selectmen.
To give our opinions.
Yeah,
And that's Board of Selectmen meeting on the 9th?
The
yeah.
ninth.
September
And So
9th.
leading up to that meeting.
7 o'clock, you said?
Yes, yeah, and leading up to that meeting, you'd get a staff report with plans and, you know, just bring you up to speed with everything you would need to know going into the meeting, so you know, be well informed about what's going on, and
Was it 7 PM, you said? 7 PM?
that's what time they begin.
They begin their executive session?
Well,
Would they bring
if
it at
it's-
6?
If it's not at 7, I'll make sure everybody knows it well
Be-
in advance. It could be 6 or 6:30, but
Yeah, because I would suspect that their regular Board of Selectmen meeting starts at 7
yeah, that's right.
on the 9th.
So it's
if I had to
probably
guess.
6.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of times it is. People available 6 PM?
I don't know yet, I have to look. But I tell you,
yeah.
for myself, after watching Monday's meeting and them ragging on us and the Conservation Board, it's their problem, is my attitude. Period. I don't want any part of it. To run down another board like they did is totally unprofessional. They have no idea what we all do, what each board does, and it's not easy. And it's a shame that we don't get the respect of all the time we put into this. And yourself. I thought it was a disgrace.
Would, you know, and I could talk to that, you know, and I try to explain this to people all the time. We have applications that are submitted, and one of the hardest jobs is to make sure the application is complete, that the plans are adequate to move forward to introduction to the planning board, whether they're preliminary or conceptual, or if somebody comes in, say, with a definitive subdivision plan. You know, just to make sure the plan and the application are complete, significantly and sufficiently complete to have a public hearing.
Right, that makes sense.
So, the board has the process. You have that first public hearing, you accept the application. During that first review of everything, they give their presentation, the public has their input, they give all their input. The planning board reviews the plan at that initial public hearing, A lot of revisions are talked about that need to be worked on by the applicant. The board also at that first public hearing recommends whether or not the plan requires peer review. Most of the plans require peer review. So those plans go off to Larry Graham and for him to give a critique. And it may take, from that point, it may take 2 weeks, 9 days, 10 days, business days, maybe even longer, depending how complex the plan is, for Larry to finish his review, right? This is where it gets complicated. So those plans, once the critique is done, those plans have to be revised. And those revisions can take an engineering firm upwards of a month to complete. And then we have our second public hearing, where we get the revised plans, hopefully with Larry's, second review, peer review, so that we can progress towards final action. But, from the date the plans are submitted to that public hearing, that's 35, 40 days. And then you're talking a month out for continuation for those plans, and it easily takes 3 months to 4
Easily.
months. Yeah.
I think what you're trying to say, John, in a nutshell, is that the process is time-consuming. It's a lengthy process.
It's not an overnight process.
And it sounds to me like the select board is, may not be 100% cognizant of just how lengthy it is, but they're expressing their frustration with that length of time. But unfortunately,
That's what it takes.
you can't condense
If you wanna do it
something.
right.
And that was directed at this board and the conservation.
I'm sure that lots of the
And I hope
development
somebody
community
speaks
have
up
that.
from the Concom to support them, because I think that was uncalled for. They acted like they were administrators of a big company, and get that, if
Somebody's
it's
not doing
done
their
in 2
job.
weeks. They didn't even say that. We want it done. They're so wound up on moving that property on National Avenue that the impression I got, they don't care what goes in there, how it goes in there, or whatever.
Tilly?
They want it developed, period.
Tilly?
And they don't, if they avoid it coming to the planning board or the Concom, they would sign off on it. That's the impression. If you get a chance, if you to want to look at getting ragged on, watch it.
Okay, well, let's roll this back to the point at hand,
Yep.
which is, does someone want to make a motion to, join the Board of Selectmen in an executive session on September 9th? And essentially what you'd be doing is we'd be asking John to post an executive session at whatever time the Board of Selectmen is.
Yeah.
48 hours in advance, so that we could have input into that discussion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
John, just so everybody knows what we're voting on, we're asking John to post a meeting for an executive session of the planning board at the same time and location that the Board of Selectmen are having it on September 9th. Is that adequate, John?
Yep. And I'm working with Eichmann on this too, so.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstaining?
I'll
Is that an
abstain.
abstention? That's an
I'll
abstention.
abstain.
Motion
Is
carries 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Got it.
I have to make these things clear for poor Andrea, she's trying to listen to the
Oh,
thing,
right,
and we're,
right.
we're ruffling papers, she's trying to get it.
I'm sure
It's gotta drive her
nobody's
crazy.
staying awake to watch us at 10:30.
Well, maybe they'll watch the video. Was there anything else, John? Can you think of anything else?
That would be it.
That would be
In
about
a
it.
total nutshell.
Mr.
I wonder about the ZBA. Why did we get a ZBA public hearing notice on 2086?
Just because you didn't get it in your packet. So that was just a handout.
In
what's
that
that?
case,
That's what's going on in.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second for the motion
Oh,
to
I don't think
adjourn?
we should adjourn.
Shoot that.
Just carry on.
All in favor, all opposed, the ayes have it. Motion carries, meeting is hereby adjourned at 10:30 something, 5, 4, 3.
I think this is.
Good night, everybody.
it's a
See you
long-
tomorrow.